victimless crimes to keep their prison industrial complex going. Any questions?
Makes sense.
Huh?
Makes sense to me.
All right, so now.
Makes true sense. I mean, like you said, still do your affidavits.
Yeah.
Correspond with the right officials, state level,
Mm-hmm.
federal level. You gotta, like you said, there's levels to it. You gotta hit all those levels.
Yeah.
Put everybody up on notice first.
Yep.
So when you come on my property,
You
private
know.
property, I got surveillance, I got cameras going, everything. I got do not trespass signs. Don't step foot on it. We're gonna try to work it out peacefully, but don't violate nothing.
Yeah.
Like you said, protect your family. And I plan on doing that, protecting my family. So you all should do the same thing, protect your family.
Any questions? All right, so now I have questions for you. What is law?
What kind of law are you talking about?
Yeah, what kind of law?
What we talking about?
You heard the question.
Law.
What is law?
I'm saying nature's law.
So you're saying law is nature's law. All right, so what is nature's law?
Law of attraction, law of polarity, law of everything.
Anyone else have anything different?
Law is, and generally speaking, if you're asking, is a set of rules,
Rules,
a set of things that help us govern or make decisions amongst each other nations or other groups. It helps us to conduct it's literally rules to help us be civil, to keep civil, to keep us civil against each other.
Yeah. Anyone?
All kind of law.
Hold on, she's got some.
The sun rising and the east setting in the west. That's law.
Yeah. So that was metaphysical, right? That's what the both of you just said is metaphysical law. What you said is physical law. So now the next question is, what is the law based on? Nature, right? So the physical is based in or predicated on the metaphysical, right? So whatever happens spiritually happens physically, right? Right? Then he said law is a system of rules that we use to conduct business with each other, to maintain, to be civilized, stuff like that, right? Right? So protecting your life will be part of civil law, right? Will be part of nature's law, will be part of divine law, right? So now if we vote, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, right? Which the people did vote on that. We also stated that if you violate the Constitution by waging war against it, meaning by waging war against the people, that is treasonous, right? Then we also voted that the punishment for treason is what? Death. All right. So if that's what you're telling me, how is it that these inquisitionists and these moriscos are able to just pull you over, snatch you out your car, tase you, put you in chains, handcuffs, leg cuffs, and drag you out into a courtroom as if you killed the whole neighborhood?
Because we have let them do that.
Huh?
We have let them do that.
Say it one more time and louder.
We have let them do that.
So now you're telling me slavery is a choice?
Well, to some extent.
So you're telling me?
Kanye said it, yeah.
So he did.
He said it.
So you're telling me, since we have not been enforcing nature's law to self-preservation, we have been violating the law,
Yes.
not just them,
Yes. So nature now
is rejecting us.
Thank you very much. Because we are not respecting and living by it. So now she's doing what is necessary.
How did they
If you
get-
don't abide by it, then you bear the consequences. Good or bad.
There you go. What do you say?
How did they get us to a state to violate nature's law.
This is how they got us to violate nature's law. We started following the idol gods of Rome. Here's an example. Don't bear arms. This is only a spiritual battle. That's an example. That's how we violate nature's law. Because they say, this is a weapon of mass destruction. Woo, ban it. We got to do gun laws. So they can keep them and keep us suppressed. Then they say, well, they don't say this. They promote on TV, our men, blow all your money on strip clubs, buy grills. I'm answering your question. Don't invest in your mom getting out the projects. Go to strip club and just blow all your money. Things like that is how they're able to get us off of nature's God and our own law and follow their idol gods, which when a pool of water is idle, it's stagnant and it's death. You know what I'm saying?
Can I also say something?
Yeah.
So, you're right, he's right, 100%. But just in the first step of this, like what I learned, learning the law was the first step, right? To know the law, to know what,
Yeah.
to know what we are, basically become competent. The thing for me is this. Learning it is one thing, sitting in the room talking about it is another. I ain't get to really learn it
Until you had to enforce it.
took it there to enforce it. Like I literally hopped in the bed and went to look for it. At this point, when I'm learning this, I ain't had nothing going on in my life. I'm usually never a dull day, always doing something. But at this point, I was goofy, chilling. Then I'm learning this, I'm like, what? Alright, I gotta see how real it is. It's like, we can talk about it, and we can be about it. It's not only until I actually went there and tested it that I gained the respect, that I earned the respect that I'm seeing from it.
So, just to add on, so you're talking about degrees. First you learned it,
Yeah.
then you enforced it,
So,
and then you seen the reaction of you enforcing it.
yeah, but I want to tell people, like, because I know it's not easy. A lot of our people are scared of their own shadows. A lot of our people are terrified. Barking mad loud and never been a day in front of the oppressor ever. You know what I'm saying? You have to actually stand in front of the oppressor and talk this smack. See the feeling, get the feeling. Because I studied, I learned, and when I crossed that bench into the maritime water, into that whole thing to stand on my square, you can feel they built a spiritual thing in there where it works against us. It's a witchcraft that works, because at one point I didn't went at them so much and so much studying that in there I felt it lift off and they couldn't handle me. Once I got rid of it, they was all witness, they was there with me. And once the cold came off of me and I got warm in there, they couldn't deal with it.
Even though they had the AC on?
Walking it on, kicking at me. And I just felt warm. She saw it, they saw it, and I just went at their neck. Like, according to this, y'all ain't about $1. So, but it took me the steps. Like, first I had to go in there, panic and fail, which is not a failure because I learned.
Right.
And next time I go in there, I can't go in there the way I went in there the first time. So I say that to say this. The Constitution comes with all these things that the Prophet tells us to enforce, and bearing arms is one of them, right? You got a lot of these other people out there who whisper fear tactics in your ear. Everything is all about the narrative, the talk, the people. Because this man is here teaching how to bear arms and how to handle the equipment and why you should bear arms, where you can find bearing arms is legal and lawful, or whatever the case may be. But then you still get narratives of them trying to turn it into terrorist type behavior, right? But so they can sit down and teach their children how to shoot and bear arms and everything, and it's okay. We do it as terrorist behavior. So there's gonna come a time where bearing arms, just talking about it, is one thing. Actually doing it is another thing. And then actually going to the oppressor to say, yeah, I bear the arms. Show me where I broke the law. see what I'm saying? It's going to take that step for them for now, because right now, I don't travel with no license. Like, it's like they don't even bother me. I had a policy enforcer pull up next to me to tell me, hey, I know your license is suspended, but I'm just trying to keep you safe so the other guys, in case they see you. I said, listen, when the other guys pull up, they're going to get the same lesson you got.
In court.
In court, right? So it came to a point where I had to take them there. So this time now, instead of lights pulling up behind me, he just pulled up next to me. Here, you don't remember me. That's the level we want to get at. You see what I'm saying? You got to crawl before you walk, right? So I say that to say this. It's one thing to talk about the parent, but then it's another thing to actually lawfully and honorably do it. Right? Not sneakily and scary, because they control the narrative right now. They put anything in the newspaper and the news, and there people read it, word of mouth in the streets. You're a terrorist. You killed 40 babies before you can get to the courtroom and tell them, oh, you guys got the wrong guy. They made that up. That's how this story's going. Because even with me, before I got to the jury, I beat up police. Trust me, they made me look like I was Bruce Lee gone rogue. And I'm like, y'all can't be serious. Like, I'm 120 pounds silver weight. Y'all talking about what they, see what I'm saying? So they have the narrative. And the people jump to it, they eat it up immediately before you can voice your opinion. So that's part of the art of war that you're going to face when this all goes through. So when you decide to honor yourself or honor your mothers and your fathers so that your days may be long on the earth, and you do enforce this Constitution, best believe that they're going to come at you and try to misconstrue it as you're being reckless, you're being terrorist, you have weapons and this, and they're going to try to make you look like crap. And depending on your mentality and like your will, it'll buckle you. I've seen the tough guys buckle under the pressure. And these are killers in the street.
Right.
And then when the oppressor's in front of them,
Noodle legs.
and someone to help them stand up. So I was confused, like how in the streets we like this, but in front of them it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, like it can't be that way. We got to switch that. In the streets amongst each other, it's like peace, love. I don't even know you, love. You see what I'm saying? When the oppressor come up, it's Haroof. That's how it should be, not Haroof at our own kind. And then when the oppressor is, I'm sorry, sir, I was speaking to, and one time, sir, and this we can't do. We got to switch that. If this is going to work. Right. You know what I'm saying? Then I got to say if this is going to work.
Offense, not on the defense.
Right.
So
Hold on.
by being in the offense.
Ellie has something to say first.
Just an observation, regardless of whatever's been said or what's going to be said, regardless of what's being said, if you're not in the same place, turning up the heat like in this room, we're just moving our lips.
Moving our lips.
Literally, you've seen what is Haiti doing right now. They're next to each other, doing stuff, like fighting. Maybe they don't have this all intact, but they have the unity
spirit.
intact. The spirit of the truth. Enforce that. Like, if you have an issue with your child or anything, I need to know what's his name, her name, what's happened to anything about your life and about my life. So therefore, I had a connection to fight for you versus a stranger over there, another stranger over there, and then they're slowly turning on the heat in every individual area, and we're just like dying slowly, but not seeing the effects and the calamity of the mass effect.
The mass destruction that they're doing?
But it's silent.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
we're keeping our just kind of just talking.
So to avoid that, we have to be together.
Like literally, if New York is the place where all the Moors are intelligent or are actually enforcing the place, I will take all my funds and I will sell everything and I will go over there to support you. I will go support you. I will go support you. Whatever country you're in, I will do the same thing. But if you keep on talking, I don't want to hear it.
Which, for the record, he did move here from somewhere else because he's seen what we were doing. We weren't just doing this.
I will move to wherever the people are ready to do something versus just talking.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
can I just add on to what he was saying? This is the counterintelligence program. I'm going to read a little bit. It says, this is number 2 of their goals. Prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant nationalist movement, talking about our people. Malcolm X might have been such a messiah. He is the martyr of the movement today. Now, this is from 1967. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age. Martin Luther King could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, meaning nonviolence, and embrace black nationalism. Carmichael has the necessary charisma to be a real threat in this way. Number 3, prevent violence on the part of black nationalist groups. This is of primary importance and is, of course, a goal of our investigative activity. It should also be a goal of the counterintelligence program. Through counterintelligence, it should be possible to pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize them, meaning murder them, before they exercise their potential for violence. So, as an example, Sharon Tracy Gale Bay was a target of the counterintelligence program. If you don't know who that is, look it up. And she's a woman. Now, according to principles of nationality, if someone is your official, what do? You protect them. Now, she was on video live, giving our people information. Who should have been there protecting her? Our people. But guess what happened? Europeans walked up all willy-nilly, snatched her up in front of your face. And what did you do? Prevent militant black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to 3 separate segments of the community. This is what he was talking about when, as soon as we get into the courtroom and they read the charges to the jurors, they're saying he beat the cops, slapped a taser out of their hand, punched the guy in the face, threatened the whole community, swerving in and out of lanes. Right? That's what they said about him. So this is their plan. The goal of discrediting black nationalists to be handled tactily in 3 ways. You must discredit these groups and individuals to, first, the responsible Negro community. Secondly, they must be discredited to the white community. Both the responsible community and to the liberals who have vestiges of sympathy for militant black nationalists simply because they are Negroes. Now again, we're not Negroes and we're not blacks. But the part of the reason why I keep telling you all to move out here is because there are Europeans who are for the Black Lives Matter movement. So when they see us teaching our people that we are not black and these are our rights, they will be there. So I'm not just saying move out here because I'm here. I'm telling you to move out here because it's a tactical decision. Rhode Island is so small. My cousin's right there. He can tell you there's a saying around here that everyone's everyone else's cousin. Because it's so small out here. So now imagine this, right? Just imagine this situation. 10 of us. 5 of us have this, right? 5, just 5. Each of us have one of these. We all got 500 rounds at our house. We all got extra mags, right? And we're just patrolling our areas. Which, if you look up Rhode Island general laws, they'll tell you you can open carry this without a license, according to their laws. So we can patrol our own streets, making sure these policy enforcers don't kick in her house and steal her children, kick in your door and arrest you for having plants in your house, try to steal your car, try to kick you out of your house. Imagine, hold on, what? There's armed Moors patrolling their areas and the Europeans aren't messing with them? I want to go over there. Oh, there's armed Moors patrolling their areas, and when Europeans do mess with them, they take them to federal court and they're armed there too, making sure their people's rights don't get violated in federal court? Because the Constitution says you have the right to a well-regulated militia to ensure a free state. I want to move there. That's what I want to do. That's where I want to go. I don't know about any of y'all, but that's where I'm going. And if that don't exist, I'm going to make it exist. Just like when I first found out more science, there was no temple here, and now you're in my temple. Not waiting for someone to create it, not waiting for Jesus to come, not waiting for the reincarnation of the prophet to come, but executing their will through my will. Because in your Quran that your prophet prepared for you, he said when your will matches the will of Allah, the resurrection is possible. So if you want a sovereign state of people, your will might want to match that. Meaning, I better not be the only one in this room with an arm. Leg, arm, head, and an extra arm, just in case you want to test the arm, leg, arm, head. Yeah. No. Jesus is not coming. So now, what is color of law? Go ahead. The appearance of law. What do you mean by that?
It appears to be law, but it's not. It's not law. It's fake.
It's fake. So like, can you give me an example? Because I just don't know.
I love it.
The right to bear arms. We have the right to bear arms.
Hold on. Where does it say that?
In the Second Amendment.
Of what? Okay.
The right to bear arms. But when you go into the color of the courts, the king of the courts, they'll tell they'll charge you with carrying a weapon. But we have the right to bear arms. So now they have. So if you agree that it's a weapon, then they have jurisdiction over you. But it's fake.
So it sounds like, to me, based on what you said, it sounds like I have the right to carry this, according to the Constitution, which said at Article 6, it says it's the supreme law of the land, and any laws in that Constitution and laws of the United States contrary to said Constitution, notwithstanding, meaning it's not law, right? I have the right to do that according to that document. So you're telling me when I go to court and they say I don't, that's color of law?
Well, they're going to say that you're carrying a weapon.
Oh, so they're going to call this something else.
They're going to call it something else.
Something scary.
And then you're going to agree, because you don't know any better. You're going to agree that that is a weapon, because you actually believe it's a weapon, even though you know you have the right to bear arms.
So this is an arm, not a weapon.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Okay, I got you. Now I'm asking you these questions. So when our people start asking you these questions, you know how to answer them. Because a lot of I'm telling you.
Another example.
Go ahead.
They always do it all the time. They pull us over. Why you pull us over? No problem cause. Nothing.
There you go. Now I'm going to give you an example.
Right, going back on the.
Hold on. Let me just do my thing. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Anything could be able to be a weapon. A pencil could be able to be a weapon.
True.
A bat could be able to be a weapon.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And it could be able to be an arm too, to be able to defend yourself.
It's the intent.
Situation of the intent. So when you justify it and tell them that it's a weapon, that means that you're using it for no lawful reason.
Wait, negative intent.
Reasons.
Yeah.
So now you tell them that you use it as their arms, as an arm for me. That means that you competent enough to understand that you're using it to protect yourself, not to be able to harm anybody. Because that's the same thing. They were trying to hit your bed with a machete. It was a $7.99 in a regular Walmart.
Yeah.
Nobody do it. You need a federal license to carry a machete.
Yeah. So you're saying he had a machete from Walmart.
Yeah.
And they said it was a deadly weapon, and they tried to charge him with that.
And then he was like, "Nah, man, it's just a regular."
They didn't even call it a machete. They continued
to call it a weapon.
A weapon.
Dangerous weapon.
Yeah.
I had to reassure the jury.
That was to convince the jury, right? And that's
Yeah.
our job. We have to know.
Ace Hardware, Walmart, Home Depot. Name it.
It's not to convince it, to be able to tell them the truth.
But they
Yeah.
were dangerous weapon this, dangerous weapon that, dangerous weapon
Anything to
this.
be able to
One
be
at
a
a
weapon.
time.
Yeah. So, back to the point. The reason why I asked her where can I find Second Amendment and all that stuff is to inform our people about the Constitution. Because I'll tell you straight up, I served in the United States Marine Corps, which you have to take an oath to the Constitution, and I never even read it. So how would I know if I'm supporting that Constitution, defending that Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, if I haven't even read it? Which this is why these people, like the cops in the military, they just say, I'm just following orders, because they're trying to waive all liability. No, you're liable. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important that, when we bring things up, we mention the Constitution. Because a lot of these people say, you know, we're anti-government and blah, 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 blah. But to clear that up, we're not anti-government or anti-democracy, because the democracy is anti-constitutional, which Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution states that in every state of the Union, it should be guaranteed. Guaranteed. Not optional. Guaranteed a Republican form of government. So now you tell me who's anti-government. You get what I'm saying? So now, since we answered color of law, what are the three primal issues at law? Louder, please. Status, jurisdiction, and adjudication. Right? So, can someone tell me what status is? Being in your proper person. What else? Being human. Establishing law? Standing in law. What else? Hold on. Good. Nationality. Okay. Your relationship to your national origin and whatever landmass you're on is part of your status. All right. So
I could be in my right status, but I'm in a different jurisdiction. So therefore,
can you give me an example of that?
so let's say I'm traveling to Japan.
Yeah.
And my proper status as a national of my own nation
Yeah.
has their own laws. So therefore, whatever applies there applies to me. But if I'm flying elsewhere to another jurisdiction, therefore their laws and customs will affect me.
Let me just clarify that. Yes, but to an extent. Because since you're dealing with that, they can't enforce all of their laws and customs on you because you're not of them. Right? So now we're talking about two separate nations. So your nation and their nation, meaning their executive department and your executive department or branch of government, would have to communicate to speak about how a Moor in Japan is supposed to conduct themselves. And if they conduct themselves contrary to any common law, then what venue that person goes to litigate said issue. That is where consular court comes into play. Get it? So now, what is, because we talk about status, what is the status of the Moorish nation? Huh? One person at a time. Good? Duress? Why do you say that? One person at a time. Because we're colonized. Can you give me an example?
We don't have our own government set up.
All right. Anyone else have anything to add to what is the status of the Moorish nation? He said it's under duress. Because we're colonized. Good?
I would say we are sovereign still.
We're sovereign?
Yeah, we are.
All right. What does sovereign mean?
Like, we answer to Allah.
We answer to Allah.
Yes.
Good?
Presently, we're under occupation.
Yes. All right. So if we're under occupation, how are we answering to Allah if we're under occupation? We're not. So that means we're not sovereign, doesn't that? Right? Now we're supposed to be a sovereign nation with a government intact. Right? But these Europeans are giving us opposition. Right? So now I'm trying to put this in your mind that you have a status. But then you're just a piece of the collective. Because your status is not everything. Just because you're good doesn't mean your entire nation is good. Right? So your status and the grand scheme of your Moorish nation don't mean nothing until you help another Moor get out of that dead status and teach them that they're Moor. So then collectively we can form that Moorish government and only answer to Allah and not be under duress.
Status to get to the jurisdictions where we can adjudicate.
Yeah, but the thing with status is people aren't realizing that the status of your nation also has to do with your nation bearing arms. Not just the paperwork, not just knowing the information. It's you enforcing the information. You willing to stand by your people. If you traveling on a road and you see a policy enforcer with a Moor in front of them, and that policy enforcer's lights on, you should be there, making sure that Moor's rights don't get violated. The only way to make that happen is for us to live together. Because once we live together, then we can go to the state house and the city hall and speak to them and say, we are a separate nation of people. In fact, if you don't believe me, just simply Google search Illinois House Resolution 689, if I'm not mistaken, 0689. And you'll see that they recognize the Moors as Aboriginal and Indigenous to America, North, South, Central, and the islands, the entire state of Illinois, not just Chicago, and stated that we have a sovereign theocratic government. So since we have a sovereign theocratic government, that means we're not part of their government, which means we shouldn't be paying them taxes, which also means we don't have to register our businesses with their states to do business on our land. So now since we all live together and we approach them in that level, now you can have your barbershop, you can have your restaurant, you can have your laundromat, you can have your art studio, you can have your whatever, and we're not paying taxes to them. And what we are paying taxes to is our government officials speaking to them. So now you make money based on your business, and your business pays taxes to your government officials, and we have people protecting said official with arms to ensure that those Europeans don't violate them when they're protecting our rights to do business and protecting our right to own property. That's why we need to move together. Because you, being 3 hours away from me, and I got this, doesn't do shit. This is only if are we as a nation of people, if that's our status. So now, hold on, go ahead. Oh, it's in the House, from the state of Illinois, and 1207 from the state of Georgia. Both the entire state of Illinois and the entire state of Georgia recognize Moors as Aboriginal and Indigenous to North, South, and Central America. And we have a sovereign theocratic government, meaning we're not citizens of the United States. Since we're not citizens, our businesses don't need to be registered with the state of Rhode Island, as an example, meaning we don't have to pay them taxes. Their inspectors can't come into our restaurants. They can't come into our barber shops. We don't need to trademark shit with them. We don't need to record anything with them. But since we are not on that level and it's not respectable, guess what they're not doing? Respecting us. Because if you claim to be a nation of people, where's your sultan? Because you're claiming to be a nation of people. Every nation has a prince, meaning a principal agent, meaning the first, meaning whoever the people put in charge. When you speak to them, you're speaking to everyone. That's why when the Pope speaks, he says we, not me, because he speaks for the entire sea. So now you're a Moor, I'm European. You think I'm gonna respect you? And no, you don't even got one of these. Oh, you sending me an affidavit? What are you gonna do? Now I'm trying to let you see how they see us. Because if they're able to just imagine, I don't have this. None of y'all have anything on you, right? Europeans just walk in and they're coming after me. You think I stand a chance? And some of y'all seen what happened to Sister Sharon, right? Did she stand a chance?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Crazy.
And she did the whole mantra, I'm a Moorish American, Aboriginal, Indigenous. I'm not saying that's wrong, because it's true. She is a Moorish American. She is Aboriginal, Indigenous. But a person with a crip. All right. I won't even bring it to Moorish science. How about this? In a school zone, it says gun free, right? Gun free zone. If you're a criminal, you're gonna read that sign and do what? Throw away your gun? No. If you're a criminal, what are you gonna do? Do criminal stuff, right? So it's obvious. It's like this in our face. that these people are not honoring the Constitution when we enforce it. So why are we still doing this? I'm asking. Because I'm confused. Because all these intelligent Moors out here, intelligent, they can cite case law like nothing. They can write affidavits with their eyes closed. So you got all that intelligence, and you're not telling your people to bear arms, to protect themselves, not even go to war, just to protect yourself. Make sure no one creeps into your house at night and tries to steal your gold and silver, try to steal your PlayStation, try to steal your TV. Make sure that no other persons claiming to be government try to kick in your door without a warrant. Because last time I checked, in the Bill of Rights, it says, in order to maintain a free state, a well-regulated militia shall exist, and the rights of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. So why aren't these intelligent people telling you to do that? Because there's hundreds of Moors, if not thousands of Moors, contacting me, asking me, now I'm talking for myself here, how do I do business as a Moor? And I can't say, just start doing it. I can say that because that's what we're supposed to do. But I can't knowingly say, just start doing it and you'll be fine. Because you sent them an affidavit. When I know my land is colonized. They don't want me to succeed. And by me not registering my business with them and me not paying taxes to them, I succeed. I know they don't want that. I know they're going to do everything in their power to prevent me from doing that. So how can I tell you, you can do that just fine? It is my obligation to tell you, if you want to do business, if you want to do business, if you want to do business, you want to do business in your free national capacity with no chicanery, no adhesion contracts, no licenses, no enforcement of the Christian black codes, which when they say you need a license to do business, they're enforcing the Christian black codes. If you want to live in that status, come here. Because I'm telling you, I will stand by your side. What's better than that? Two of me saying that. Now imagine, just imagine, again, going to City Hall, going to the State House, all of us, not just me, not just you want to do business, all of us. Go down to the State House, speak to the governor's secretary, say, hey, where are the Aboriginal Indigenous Moors here? And on on Rhode Island.gov or whatever, it says we can invite the governor to one of our events. We're going to do that. And we're going to speak to her about our rights to do business as Aboriginal and Indigenous people. And we're going to have a copy of the treaty sealed by the Library of Congress and a copy of the Proceedings and Debates of the 90th Congress, First Session, Volume 113, Part 12 of June 12, 1967, which states that the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional to prove to you that we're not citizens of the state of Rhode Island. So when you see us doing business, your people better not infringe on that. And if they do, we're going to have problems. Everything I just said, none of that is radical. No, I'm not telling you to kill no one. I'm not telling you to murder no one. I'm not telling you to plot on no one. I'm telling you, if you want change, you better be willing to do something. So, status. Everything I just said has everything to do with status. The second primal issue at law is jurisdiction. Right? If we were at that status of armed men and women willing to protect our businesses, they wouldn't be exercising extraterritorial jurisdiction over us. Personam, subject matter, or territorial, because this ain't their land. But to get you into thinking that they have jurisdiction over you, they're going to tell you that this is New England. Are you English? That means you don't have power here, right? But if they claim to be English and this is New England, that means they got power, doesn't that? Then they'll say, this land is Rhode Island. Oh, you're a Rhode Islander? No, which means you have no say here. Isn't that what that means? So now they're claiming territorial jurisdiction by saying, this is Rhode Island. Then they're claiming personam jurisdiction by you thinking, I'm a Rhode Islander. But I'm here to tell you, and you, and you, and you, and everyone in here, that this is Narragansett, not Rhode Island. And if you don't believe me, go to sos.ri.gov, which is Secretary of State for Rhode Island.gov, meaning government. They're going to tell you, we branded this Isle of Rhode. There were people here before us. They were misidentified as Indian, which means they're not what? Indian. So now they're telling you, this is how we got jurisdiction over you. But since you don't know law, you don't see it as that. Jurisdiction. Jurisdiction. Right, jurisdiction, word. Where you from? Right? Because back in the slave days, right? They say, what's your name, boy? They call you a boy, right? What's your name, boy? You say, Johnson? That means you're John's son.
Right.
That means you belong to John's plantation.
Right.
So why you up here, boy? And they send you back. Right? So now, you traveling on the road, cops come to you, license or registration, where are you from? And you say, Rhode Island. Oh, that means you belong to the Europeans of Rhode Island. Any questions? Jurisdiction. Go ahead.
What should I say to put me over and ask me where I'm from?
You can say
So, right.
you can say multiple things.
Location?
You can say multiple things. You can say I'm from Narragansett.
Because I know down in Lowell where I'm from it's called Wampanoag, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's basically I say Wampanoag, not Lowell.
Yeah.
B.
You're outside of their jurisdiction.
Right.
Verbally. But then they got this, and they're enforcing color of law, so now it's a different situation. So again, it's not just knowing, it's being able to enforce. Because these Europeans are able to enforce their color of law. That's why it's in fact, meaning de facto, meaning they're not allowed to do it lawfully. But since we're violating our right to self-preservation and we refuse to live next to each other and we refuse to enforce the law, they can do it by sheer force alone.
Yes.
Acquiescence, right?
Right.
Talk a little bit about the size of the state and how that
The size of the state?
affects-
Well, the size of the imaginary state of Rhode Island, which has 0 borders, because it's not real, it's the smallest state of the European Union known as the United States. The smallest. In fact, when I speak to a lot of people and say, well, when I used to say I'm from Rhode Island, they say Long Island. That's New York. But, coincidentally enough, Long Island is part of the Narragansett Confederation. But anyway, it's so small most people don't even know about it. But that's a good thing. Because what did they say about Jesus from Nazareth? Nothing comes out of Nazareth. It's so small, who cares about it? But guess what that also means? It's something small, right? Let's say you have a small cup of water and you drop it. It ripples automatically, fast, right? But if you got a big pond and you put a drop, it's going to take time for those ripples to get to the end, if it gets to the end, right? So now imagine where those drops of water. And Rhode Island's the cup. That means everything we say and do is making ripples. Simple concept, right? That's all metaphysical though.
Strategy.
Hold on. That's all metaphysical. We can all see that. Now it's about getting your physical body here. 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 That's the hard part. You can manifest it like that on a spiritual plane. Y'all can see it when I say it, but then making that happen, that's the difference. What else we got? What is diversity? We kind of went over that already, right? Diversity is... Oh yeah, sorry, you're right. So back to the Europeans not having jurisdiction because of our status and willingness to bear arms and protect what is ours. So since they don't have jurisdiction, because we proved that they don't, not just with the law, but with the physical law, that means they can't adjudicate against us. Meaning, let's say this is our restaurant, our Moorish vegan restaurant, right? And we already spoke to the city and state officials that we don't need a license from you, pop, 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 boom. But they still try to exercise that physical jurisdiction, that personam jurisdiction, because they got municipal cops called Province Police Department, which on their vehicles it says commercial enforcement, which my cousin showed me when we was traveling on the road. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that.
Really?
Yeah, they don't even hide it, right in your face. So they're doing this to
Put
you.
everything in your face.
They're doing that to you. What are you gonna do about it? They don't even care, right? That was a joke. So, this is our restaurant. We're all vegan. We're Moors. We got fezzes up, right? And they knock on the door. Oh yeah, we already spoke to the city officials, state officials. We don't need a license. Here's our proof. We got this. All right, have a good day. Now they can't adjudicate. Now they can't rip you out of your place of business, put the tape around it saying, do not enter, all that stuff. That's how we deal with status, jurisdiction, and adjudication. Right? So this is what, to kind of relate it to something else, back to when they stop you and they say, where you from, right? Them not having power to adjudicate would be, this is Jamal Bay. I'm pulled over on I-95 by the Rhode Island State Police. Can you radio to dispatch that I need 10 Moorish patrol cars over here? I'm by exit 19.
3 minutes later, 10.
That's Islam, is it?
Then the Moors show up to make sure
That's Islam, is
that European
there.
doesn't punch that Moor in the face and taser that Moor for no reason. Now I'm telling you right now, there's a Moor who showed me the body cam of the cops who pulled him over in a parking lot. I'll say that one more time. Pulled him over in a parking lot. He came out his car like this, and they tased him on camera. And then in a report saying he was resisting arrest. And he was by himself. Now imagine if all of you were armed, all of us had our Moorish uniform on, all of us was listening to the commands of our Grand Sheikh, all of us was standing outside of that police station, or at the traffic stop. You think that would happen?
Think about it.
And I'm not even saying showing up with guns drawn, I'm saying just be there. Not with your phones out. I'm talking about, because in Rhode Island you can do this with no license. I'm talking about going to the traffic stop. Hey, what's going on, officer? I see you got one of my Moors over there. Is there a problem? Because according to the treaty, it says if you have any issues with one of our nationals, consul shall determine, and last time I checked, this isn't consular court, this is the side of the highway. So you might want to speak to our consulate. Matter of fact, get your boss out here, get your supervisor. Matter of fact, get the mayor on the phone, because he's supposed to inform you that there's Moors here and teach you about the protocol on how to handle us. You shouldn't even be speaking to our people. What are you doing?
You're absolutely right.
Imagine that, because don't they approach you with their...
All day.
Can you roll down your window, sir? Can you roll down your window? License and registration? Right? That's what they do, right? You sitting there unarmed, and then they trained you. They trained you that as soon as you see them behind you, you get uncomfortable. As soon as you see them, they don't got to be behind you. They can be across the street. You're just heart, your spirit all messed up, your breath all messed up, your spirit, breath all messed up because their physical presence. You start feeling guilty like you did something. Then you start fearing your life because you already know what they do. So imagine you're in that situation, which all of us have been in. Imagine you see one of these pull up with one of these and say, hey, how can I assist you, officer? To that cop knocking on your window, who's not even an officer because no one elected him or her.
Private security.
How would that make you feel? I'm telling you right now, that shit would make me feel good. And what I just explained to you was diversity. You at a traffic stop, European at your door. They don't got to be European. They could look just like you, but have a municipal uniform on, which when you deal with the Christian black codes, it says blacks can't bear arms unless they have a badge. Because they're Negroes, meaning someone else's property. Meaning you shouldn't have a weapon on you unless I can control your mind. So when you see those so-called black cops pull up to you, right? Because they feel all big now because they got a gun.
Yeah.
Because they work for the man, they feel huge. And they treat you even worse. Imagine, even if they pull up, European or more who don't know there are more, or Morisco, and you see one of these bad boys. What's up? What's going on here? Because last time I checked, Moors have the right to travel, so why are you pulling our people over? Did you suspect that they committed a crime? Oh, no? All right, well then be on your way. And then we go over to the Moors car, hey, we good, go home. Or continue. But if not, oh, you breaking the treaty? Because the treaty's for peace. Don't break the peace. Oh, you're breaking the Constitution, don't do that. That's a different story. But since these Europeans know our people aren't teaching us to do that, and a lot of us have no backbone, and if we do have some type of spirit to fight, we join their military, which is what I did like a dumbass, so don't do it. If you want training, come down here and I will train you. Imagine if they see us doing that. They're not going to do what they've been doing to us. And I just showed you from their counterintelligence program, this is the exact opposite of what they want. Because that's a real revolution. So now, this question. How did the French, Dutch, British, and Spanish establish colonies on American soil? Yes.
They ran a big, they came here to do business, and the colonies were companies, agreements that they had with us, with the Sultan of the empire.
Which empire?
Moroccan Empire, Mexican, Northwest Mexico. And they were paying tribute.
I have a question. Do you have proof?
Actually, there is proof. I mean, I read a book called They Were White, They Were Slaves. And,
Oh.
but I should be able to.
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I know you know, but yeah. You got something?
Well, my mommy said it's okay that I
Ask the question.
have God.
For you to bear arms?
Why do you want arms? Why do you want arms?
Well, this is called an arm. It's also called a gun, but yeah.
Why do you want that?
Because
Okay. And what's it going to allow you to do? What is it going to allow you to do? No, don't. You said for protection. Okay.
Great, for protection. So, you had something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say war, rape, pillage, all the rest.
All right, so let me try to explain that. So what they do, so you know the prophet said, "I desire for my people to learn to love instead of hate." What they've done is they've told you that they came here, conquered, put you into slavery, warred with you, just like that. So that when you think about history, you think that's what they did and that's how they did it, right? Because it sounds like they did it no problem. They just came here, conquered. We didn't have no guns. We were savages. They had guns and they just did whatever. Look up something called the Anglo-Moroccan Alliance. Anglo, like Anglo-Saxon. Yeah, or English. It is when Queen Elizabeth was speaking to the Sultan of Morocco. They had plans to build an embassy in Britain. Once Queen Elizabeth and the Sultan of Morocco, I'm pretty sure it was Zayed at the time, once they both died in 1603, no, it was Muley Muhammad. It was Queen Elizabeth I and Muley Muhammad. Once they both died around 1603, 1604, James I, after the Treaty of London, became the sovereign monarch of England. He continued to speak with Zayed, the Sultan of Morocco, and they agreed to have free European subjects in Morocco for business. 1607, Jamestown, Virginia, the first European colony in Morocco, also known as America. There's your proof. Look it up. That's how we should be able to just give you the information. Because it's our history. Huh? Oh, it was Jamestown, Virginia, the first European colony in America, which is really Morocco, right? Because if King James is talking to the Sultan of Morocco to have free subjects in Morocco, and then all of a sudden, a year later, a European colony, free European colony pops up in America, well then where's Morocco? Right here.
Same thing with George Washington letter. Where he's asking the Empire for permission to domicile over here.
Yeah. Also, because we'll get to that, that's in the 1700s. I'm talking about 1600s. I'm talking about the first colony, which, in order to have, if you're King James, right, and you're talking to the Sultan of Morocco to have free Europeans in Morocco, that means your people been here in America. They just weren't free. So now that tells you they didn't just come over here and conquer you. They were slaves who had to get freed from their people. Right? But don't believe me. When the Dutch were in New Amsterdam, also known as New York, 1663, if I'm not mistaken, guess who the Netherlands had a treaty with? The the Moors. But they'll tell you they had treaties with the Mohegans. Mohegan. Mo. Same time period. Different name. Same root word of a different name. Mohegan and Moor is the same thing. Then all of a sudden the Dutch were able to do free fur trade in America after the Dutch, Netherlands, had a treaty with the Moors. So now you tell me if they conquered here the way they told you that they did, to put hate in your heart. So you can't see what's real and what's not. Because if you're blinded by hate, you can't see shit. Not saying you are. I'm just saying they put that narrative out there to put hate in our people. So we cling more to the blackness to control the mind, like you said. Because these Europeans did not conquer crap the way they make claim to have. And if you don't believe me, look up the Anglo-Moroccan alliance of the 1600s. And don't just look at Wikipedia, go deep. And you will see treaties with the various European crowns and the Moors. That's how they got here. That's diversity. So now knowing that their origin is them being in bondage on our land, them having to talk to our Sultan to get free on our land, right? Then those Europeans that were in bondage before, who were submitting to the crown of England, then they fought against the England crown, right? 1774, right? They got their independence, no taxation without representation, right? They created their own government called the United Colonies, the 13 United Colonies, before they were called states. That's their origin. How are you a U.S. citizen now? You see the cycle? I'm telling you the same story since the beginning of this class, in a cycle. There's just different aspects of the same story, all of which is telling you live next to each other. All of which is telling you you have to register your business with these people. All of which is telling you you have the right to bear arms. All of which is telling you a mortgage foreclosure is estate embezzlement, and they're robbing you of your own land by you agreeing. So to prevent that from happening, have your allodial title. Look up the definition of allodial title. It'll talk about defending your land. How do you defend your land alone? You stop being alone and you move with your people to defend said land. When the Haitians maintained, not gained their independence, maintained their independence in 1804, what was that time period called? 1800s to 1815. Huh?
So it's not the revolution. That's how they.
Well, yeah, they say that they had a revolution and then gained independence in 1804. I'm telling you, they maintained their independence in 1804. And then I'm asking you that time period, what was it called? 1800 to 1815, they call that a certain time period. They call it the Barbary Wars. That's what they call it. So if Haiti was involved in the Barbary Wars, and Barbar means Moorish, that means the Haitians are what? Get it? See the full cycle?
When you said they maintained it, I mean it was.
They were already independent. Already. Because remember, in order for these people to have free colonies in America, they had to speak to the Sultan. That means they were independent.
They tell me this story like, oh, Haiti was the first island to gain their independence and blah, blah, blah.
That's to maintain the slave that we were slaves, to maintain that bullshit. When I didn't call it this. I don't call this time period the Barbary Wars. They call it that. If you don't believe me, get this book. The Crescent Obscured by Robert J. Allison. Yeah, Robert J. Allison. Obscured, meaning hidden. This is the crescent. The crescent moon represents Muslims, which is really Moors. So it's this hidden. The history of the United States and the Muslim world dealing with this time period. So if it's obscured, that means it's hidden. Hidden from who? The Moors. Meaning they know it, Europeans know it, but the descendants of the people that they were fighting don't know it. That's why it's called this crescent obscured.
Say that again?
What?
The last word?
Obscured?
Obscured?
Yeah, obscured means to hide. Yeah. Any questions? So now, want to deal with your...
We can, if you will.
Yeah, we can do that. You don't mind it being on camera?
No.
All right. So you want to tell us what happened?
Okay, we were traveling. I had got a contract assignment to do some work over in Montauk, out here in East Hampton, Montauk, New York. So I was out there first day, right? It was cool. And being the family haven't been there before, I said, being that we out here, let's go ahead and get a room for the week. We're going to do the family thing, right? So the first night was cool, everything was great. So we said, let's drive up to New York, go get my mother. It'll be a big family thing. So everything was cool in that, and us traveling up to New York. Now when we're traveling back, it's nighttime, and it was raining. But when we got in that region, it wasn't raining, but it's still night and it's still a little foggy and whatnot. So I have my high beams on. So now I'm traveling on the road with my high beams on, right? So then I get pulled over. So I asked him, he approached the car. The officer approached the car, went through the whole script. He pulled me over. He said I didn't do anything wrong, but he's pulling me over because of my high beam. The ticket that they gave, it says failure to dim high beams. He said I was aggressive high beam because I was blinding the folks
on the other side, reckless high beaming, right? So he asked for my identification and stuff like that. So I first gave him I gave him my temple card, and then he was like, "What's that?" So for being,
Can I see that?
so being that I have my family with me, my mother, my wife, my son, I didn't want it to be drawn out. So I just went ahead and gave him the New York State enhanced ID, right? So then once I gave him that, he went back to his vehicle, ran me and stuff like that. So then he came back to the vehicle and he says, my license is restricted and suspended and so forth like that, right? So he gave me these tickets right here, right? So I got a ticket for, he gave failure to dim headlights, failure to dim headlights, aggravated unlicensed operator, 3rd degree, operating without insurance, back seat, passenger, age 4, no proper seatbelt. My son was in the back seat. They say he did have a seatbelt on, but during that period, he took it off, right? So now, he went to his car, first he went to his car, he ran me, and then he came back to the vehicle. So he came back to the vehicle, he asked me to step out the vehicle. So when I stepped out the vehicle, they took me, they arrested me, they kidnapped me, they took me to the precinct, right? He asked me how much money I had, so I got $10, so you're gonna need about $50 to $100. So when my wife and family, they came to the precinct where we were at, they allowed us to pay $100.
Yes, extortion.
Yes, they extorted us the $100. We paid them and everything like that. And then, the whole, at the precinct and everything lasted about 30 minutes, right? So we left and everything like that. So then now, I get my court date. So I go to court and I enter into their courtroom, and what I said to the judge is that I would like to put in a motion, or I told the judge, I said, I'm not ready because I want to do an affidavit. So she said, well, you have to do it in motion form because this is a criminal case. So I asked for a continuance. So they gave me a continuance. I wanted to put in my pole barn toe, but I just started this construction job, right? So I haven't been doing that for a bit, so I was a little hurt. So long story short, I didn't put the time in my pro warranto to get it into them, right? So I asked for a continuance. So now, as I'm researching and studying, I just went in there and told her, well, I'm ready. I didn't have no pro warranto or nothing. I just said I'm ready. So she said, you ready to go to pre-trial? I said, yes. So, could I ask her, actually, I challenged them the first time. I asked if she had jurisdiction. She said yes. And so I said, according to the Constitution and section such and such, you need an order, a declaration, delegation of order of authority. She said, I do have the authority and the delegation. I'm going to give you this continuance. So she gave me the continuance for the next.
So can I add? Each state is independent, so they have the right to regulate their own stuff within their own jurisdiction, right? Since you gave them a license from their jurisdiction, that's how they're gaining authority over you, right? That's why we have our nationality cards, to show them that we're outside of their jurisdiction, right? So that's how she's able to say, I do have jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? What you're talking about, because the delegation of authority that she's talking about is the state constitution, right, which that delegates power to their judges. But what you're asking for is the delegation of authority from Congress to deal with a separate or a national from a different jurisdiction, from a different nation, meaning not a citizen of New Jersey. That's what you're asking for. But you need to clarify that. Clarify that I'm not a citizen of the state of whatever, right? And according to the Constitution, only federal courts have jurisdiction over the issue of diversity, set at Article 3 of the Federal Constitution. So now, when you ask for the delegation of authority, ask again, state for the record where you have authority to adjudicate on matters of diversity of citizenship. That's how specific your delegation of authority has to be. Because remember, law is specific. Because if you just say, show me your delegation of authority, well, the state constitution is the delegation of authority. So specify which one you're talking about. So if you want to write that down. I'll say it again. Well, all right. I'll write it. I'll write a few questions for you to ask the judge since you're already in this situation. So number one, on your delegation of authority or quo warranto or writ of discovery, right? They're all basically the same thing. Number one, ask the judge where is your DOAO, delegation of authority order from Congress giving you the power to adjudicate AD over issues S of diversity of citizenship. Because you're not a citizen of the state of whatever, any European Union, because I told you the origin of it was separate European colonies getting permission from the Sultan of Morocco to be here. So you can't be a citizen of that. Just like a Japanese person can't be a citizen of a European colony in Japan. That's their land, right? Now the reason why you're asking this is because the Proceedings and Debates of the 90th Congress, First Session, Volume 113, Part 12 of June 12, 1967 stated that the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional, which means we're not citizens of the several states of the European Union. That's why you're asking that question. As well as, again, Article 3 of the Federal Constitution states that, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction, and all inferior courts which Congress shall from time to time ordain and establish. Then they'll go into what they have jurisdiction over, and they'll tell you diversity of citizens of different states. Remember, state is a group of people bound together by common law. None of these people in this room are Europeans. So we're citizens of a different state. That's why you're asking that. Right? So now let me show you the Proceedings and Debates of the 90th Congress, First Session, Volume 113, Part 12 of June 12, 1967, certified from the Library of Congress, which states that you are not a citizen of their bullshit, which they taught you the 14th Amendment was ratified, which reversed the Dred Scott decision stating that blacks are not citizens. So since they're telling you that, I'm showing you that that's not true. And all these so-called black leaders telling you that, you should notify them about this document. Congressional Records, Proceedings and Debates of the 90th Congress, First Session, Volume 113, Part 12, June 12, 1967 to June 20th, 1967. They're telling you the 14th Amendment was ratified 1868. This is 1967. Proceedings and Debates. I'll just show you. See that, right? And just because I'm going to show y'all, but I'm going to show him since he's behind me. See that seal? You can feel it. That's not a copy. You can see this is bonded, meaning when they put it together at the Library of Congress and sent it to me, it was never separate. So meaning this is from them, nothing I wrote. You see that signature is wet ink signature, right? Yep. You can see the pen impression on the paper. Yep. So this is not a copy of something. This is an original.
And just for the record, just to be clear, I'm still green or I'm still learning.
Yeah. I know.
Amendment means what?
Amended means. Amend means to add or to fix or to alter. Right. Since the law is based on our culture, customs, and traditions, it rarely changes because customs, culture, and traditions rarely change. Right? So in order to change something in the Constitution, you have to have something called a constitutional convention, where the people come together and add or subtract to said constitution. So when they add something, they're changing what was already done, so they're amending it. That's an amendment.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you for clearing.
Yeah.
This one, you know,
That's what we're supposed to do.
Right. Yes, sir.
You don't gotta thank me. It's my job.
I guess we're gonna be.
You can take a picture. It'll be a lot easier.
It would, but my phone is. You know.
So now,
Hold on, let me,
Okay.
because I have to clarify,
Yeah, I got you.
I have to explain this to you. You know, so you know why. So when you speak to that European or whoever, you know why. You know what they know.
yes,
And they can see it in you.
yeah.
Because that will sun them.
Okay. No,
You know, that will set them down about 17
question I was
pegs.
about to ask you about to get me out.
Yeah, right? So, because remember, she says she has jurisdiction.
Yes.
In order for her to have jurisdiction, you have to be a citizen, right? Because that's personam jurisdiction, right? In order for the Japanese, or a resident, meaning a thing identified. In order for the Japanese people to have personam jurisdiction over you, you have to be a citizen, correct?
Correct.
All right. So they're telling you you're a citizen based on the 14th Amendment. So now I'm going to show you where they said 14th Amendment is unconstitutional. Get it? All right. I know you're not dumb. I'm just going through the steps, you know, just in case someone else doesn't know. Good? All right. Again, sealed from the Library of Congress. Let me remove the little plastic cover to protect the document. And is bonded. Bond. See that bond? See that connection? It's a bond. This is a bond. This is a bond. See the seal? It's not fake. It's not my seal. Right? Meaning this is law. Yeah. Right? This is why they have legal documents, so I can hold it like that. But this is letter paper, so it's a little harder to manipulate. See that congressional record? They scanned a picture of the book. Show you congressional record. This is from June 13th, 1967. Congressional record, the House of Representatives, page 15641. The 14th Amendment is unconstitutional. Any questions? The purported 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution is and should be held to be ineffective, invalid, null, void, and unconstitutional for the following reasons. Number one, the joint resolution proposing said amendment was not submitted to or adopted by a constitutional Congress. Because in Congress they have quorums, right? If a bill's in the House, it has to be passed by the House, then sent to the Senate, then passed by the Senate, then sent to the President, who either signs it or vetoes it. And if it gets vetoed, it goes back to the Senate, back to the House. They have to get 2/3 vote of all of Congress, then it becomes law. And if it's not done by, if the President doesn't do anything with it, then 10 days later it becomes law. So if he doesn't veto it or sign it or she, it's law. That didn't happen. That's what they're saying. Article 1, Section 3 and 5 of the, Article 1, Section 3 and Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution. So they're telling you which laws of the Constitution it violates. So they're qualifying what they're saying. Number 2, the joint resolution was not submitted to the President for his approval, said at Article 1, Section 7. Number 3, the proposed 14th Amendment was rejected by more than 1/4 of all the states then in the Union, meaning not 50 states, meaning however many they had, 1/4 rejected it. Right? 1/4 then in the Union, and it was never ratified by 3/4 of all the states in the Union, said in Article 5. The Unconstitutional Congress, I'm not going to read all of that. Then it goes into this right here. Permitting the ineffectiveness of said resolution, as above, 15 states out of the 37 states of the Union rejected the proposed 14th Amendment between the date of its submission to the states by the Secretary of State on June 16, 1866 and March 24, 1888, thereby further nullifying said resolution and making it impossible for its ratification by the constitutionally required 3/4 of such states as shown by the rejections thereof by the legislators of the following states. Texas rejected the 14th Amendment October 27th, 1866. Georgia rejected it November 9th, 1866. Florida, December 6th, 1866. Alabama, December 7th, 1866. And it goes to all the states that rejected it. So, you're not a citizen of their state, meaning their state level judges cannot adjudicate against you. So only federal judges can, with consuls present. Right? So that's why you're asking that magistrate for the delegation of authority to adjudicate between issues of diversity, which only the feds have jurisdiction to do that. Because you are not a citizen of them, because you're an Aboriginal Indigenous Moor, they're foreigners doing business on your land, which is a separation of powers, two separate states, two separate nations, so they don't have jurisdiction over you. That's called the Active State Doctrine. Write that down if you don't know it. Yep, Active State Doctrine. So again, this is dealing with your writ of discovery / quo warranto / averment of jurisdiction. The second question to them is going to be, is traffic court listed under criminal? They're going to tell you yes, it is. The reason why you're asking this question is so you can respond with case law that states, in order for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, which is also supported by the Bill of Rights. Right? Yeah. Tracking? So the reason why you're asking this question is because in order for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, which I'll give you the, can you hand me that paper right behind you? Yep, that one.
You need this one?
Huh? Yeah.
Before you wrote that bullet number 2, you made a statement or you said a document. I didn't write it down. I forget to tell her which one. What was that again?
Active State Doctrine.
Oh, Active State Doctrine, yes.
Corpus delicti or corpus delicti?
Delicti. It does tomato, tomato.
Okay.
So the reason why you're asking is traffic court listed on the criminal is because if it is, if they say it is, that means you enforce Board of Trade versus Olson, which states this: if this is a criminal matter, there must exist an injured party of which I would be obligated to make remedy to If this is a criminal matter, there must be an injured party or property, even to a preponderance of evidence. If this is an administrative court, traffic court as well, there must be an injured party as defined in the established rule of law, which is the Fifth Amendment, meaning you have the right to face your accuser. That's why you're asking them that, because you're challenging their subject matter. So this is them. This is you challenging their personam jurisdiction. This is you challenging their subject matter jurisdiction. Get it? Simple, right? Easy. Walk in the park.
Just gotta know.
Yeah.
You're right, right? What the brother mentioned earlier, right? When he went into court the first time, he had to get beat down. Now he goes in there strong, right? I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Because just as you're saying this, right? I had court. I went there Wednesday, and so when we set it for pre-trial, right?
Yeah.
Because some of the statements you're making, I did make those statements at that particular time in court. And so at that time, she was like, well, I'm not going to argue and go back and forth with you at this moment in time. So this is my courtroom. But I'm going to set this for pre-trial October 31st.
So let me tell you what they're doing. They're knowingly violating your rights. That's what they're telling you.
Right.
Because they already know we're Moors.
Yes.
So you don't got to prove to them crap. This is why I said earlier we need to start doing this. Because they know we're just waking up, so we're trying to figure out if it's true. But they already know it is. That's why I'm saying that there's going to become a point in time where affidavits is not enough. And that point in time was 10 years ago. That point in time was when the prophet stepped foot on this earth.
But she said these words. She said, and at that point in time, if you bring enough evidence or prove your side, I will dismiss the case. You know what I'm saying? So in her wording of just her saying that just lets me know that I just have to be sharp. I have, as you acquired the strength, once you go up in there, all you got to do is once you go in there because I'm not in the process in going in there and addressing them in the proper manner and tone. I mean, I would say I'm fine with that, but in the lingo, in the language, and in the process, I'm still working through that, right? So this is where I'm at now, in my working through part, and as the brother just honorably stated, you know, I'm already in there like, what's up? But they kind of, throw a couple of blows, and I don't know how to, bob and weave that shit. Not necessarily bob and weave it, but address it in an honorable way, as we're doing now. But I feel, and I already have the confidence that, as we're going through this, and as you're instructing and teaching us, that I will be able to go in there and, knock some heads out. But as my brother said, you got to go in there and you have to feel it. It's something you can talk about it like we talk about it now.
Hold on.
You have to go in there and you have to look at them in their eyes, and I look at her in her eyes every day, every time I go there, and she looking and she talking, and you can just see that in her mind, and just she studied just spewing out the spell, continually to just the lies, the trickery, just all of that. But until I'm able to just like say, as we're going through the process now, get this ingrained and be able to address it accordingly. But I can see it. But as you also said, this is like my third time going. They're going to continue to bring you in. And it's like it's constantly, who got time, money to be constantly.
I just have a suggestion because I see a lot like we are able to go in with as much information as you can bring. You can even type up a literal script because you have to remember court is a play. It's acting. They say this, and then this happens, and then they, do this, and then the judge does this, and then there's a whole flow to it. Study the flow online, right? Literally the things you have to say. If you choose a trial, there's certain things that happen in a trial, know what to say and when, and just write it down so that way when you're up there and the judge is saying something that you didn't expect them to say, you have something to look at and just right there have law and you know, your facts and whatever it is that you're bringing to the table there, so that way you're ready.
Go ahead.
I propose that I used to facilitate for counseling. I used to say, I used to work with men that used to get out of prison. I used to do mock interviews. Instead of doing mock interviews, I would reverse that and do how do you appear to come in the room, your appearance, like a trial. Like he got the gavel over there. Somebody can act that out. So all the fear, disparities, the principalities, the ministry, all that stuff that's bothering you here can flee outward. So when you come here, you know to stand firm. You know how you already know. Like you said, it's going to be like an act, a play. You have your script, you have your material. So we can do a mock interview. Somebody will act like the prosecutor. You stand in your rightful. You see how I'm not even saying it. You already know this because you already did it out. You need to just, that's what we need to do. We need to get it here first. Once it goes through here, it's going to come out here. And you're going to be right here. Like, you ready. But we have to come into these rooms like this, do videos like this, every time. Anytime and every time we have to do this right here all the time. So we can have stuff like that.
What helps is perspective too. Perspective helps because when you go in the room, they have the security guards, the DA, everyone's in there, and we go in there with the mindset that they're all together. And they're together. And they're together. We go in there, and if you got someone with you, we're by ourselves, whatever. What my brother here did one time, and we went to court. My mother was there for my little brother in Connecticut. The security guard comes over, and they love to do this. Oh, you got to stand when the judge is coming in, right? You got to rise, all rise. My brother here quickly, right from my mom now, she didn't know, so we're bringing her slowly into waking up. So my brother quickly just asked him, where's the penal code that says we have to stand up? Where's the code of the law that says? And he told him, stood firm, sat there and told him, awesome, gangster shit. Sometimes, that's why we have to understand the whole killing of the ego thing is not to make you a timid mouse, it's to get your ego in control so you can know when to flex. Like, that little security guard came in there trying to do his own, you gotta stand for thing. My brother flexed on him and he called right back to his little podium. They never once walked over there and told anyone to stand up ever again. Everyone else can stand and the boys be sitting there just like this. Just like when I first went into the court, first thing that came to me was, I gotta remove this. I said, what? Does the courtroom have any animosity, religious animosity against religion? Because America doesn't. That's what the law says. And then the security guard goes back to ask the judge, and everyone, the judge is like, yeah, you can't tell him that. He comes back and he apologizes. Mm-hmm. Now, not only are the feds respected, because Booby came into court the other day, and Booby just got his head wrapped up with the stocking cap. Yeah. They don't even talk to us. So if you go in low district court, you got on a do-rag or anything, and you with me, they won't even talk to you. They won't even talk to you. That's right. So they think that everyone who comes in with me is already a Mormon. They don't even talk to none of us. We're going to Booby had on a stocking cap. Stocking cap, do-rag. So it just shows you the confidence in him. You see what I'm saying? So he's taking what I taught him that moment all across the board. So it works for us. In a way it kind of works.
That's how it's supposed to work.
Teach them, and then they back off.
But that,
after my brother set the security, no more securities come up to us and tell us to stand, so that's a dub. Then I checked them on the feds. Now you can wear your do-rag, your turbans, and everything in there. So that's a dub. So slowly I'm watching the thing shift. The more we assert what we have to assert.
But that's why I keep saying we shouldn't have to be in that venue because they already know. So to avoid all of that, which is good training, but to avoid all of that, constantly, again and again and again, speak to the state officials, City Hall, State House, speak to the executive department. Because we keep dealing with the judicial. There's 3 departments.
Yeah.
Why are we only dealing with 1? And when we deal with them, we're the defendant.
And it's so crazy.
So, hold on. Schedule your meetings, whatever more is y'all listening, or whenever y'all go back to your territories, schedule your meetings with the mayor and or the councilman or woman who claims to be the representative for whatever ward that you're in, and tell them what the status is, what your status is. Hey, councilman or women or alderman, whatever, so-and-so, we're the Aboriginal Indigenous Moors here. Here's the proceedings and debates of the 90th Congress, first session, volume 113, part 12, June 12, 1967, that says we're not citizens, so you do not represent us. Here's our representatives. These are our rights. To avoid all of this, but since we're in the situation, we're addressing it. So like I said, since this is a play, you're setting them up with these questions. You're going to ask them, where's your delegation of authority order from Congress giving you the power to adjudicate over issues of diversity of citizenship? Because Article 3 of the Constitution says only the federal government has authority to do that. Right? So when she says she does have delegation, well then show me in the state constitution where it says you have jurisdiction over issues of diversity. You get what I'm saying? So you're setting them up to knock down their pieces. Then you're also setting them up again by saying, is traffic court listed on the criminal court? If they say yes, well then say, well, why are you violating the decision of Board of Trade versus Olson, where it said, in order for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, and also you're violating the my Fifth Amendment right by me having to face my accuser. Who did I harm? The road? Well, if I harm the road, then bring the road in here and let me cross-examine the road.
Let him testify.
So write that down. Cross-examine the road. Because in Leonidas' case, we had a sworn statement by someone with their thumbprint on it and signature, and they said we can't accept that because we can't cross-examine them. That's law. So if they're saying you violated the highway or the road, well then bring the road here and let me cross-examine it. Ask it questions. How did I violate you? And then wait for it to speak.
Well, sir.
It can't.
It was the asphalt.
That's what they're gonna tell you.
You know what I'm saying?
You're
And I'm telling you, they know this. And if they don't know, ignorance of the law is no excuse, because if you're a judge, you're bound to know law.
Exactly.
So now, if you're incompetent, well then step down.
Yeah. Wrong place.
Because they already know they don't have to. Don't believe me. Look in that room and see how many Chinese people in there as defendants. And then Google Chinese consulate. Because they ain't going to no state level court. They're going to consular court, which is federal. Because federal means contract. The contract is the treaty. Because we're a separate nation of people. You get what I'm saying? That's why you're asking that first question. And then you're asking the second question to enforce the Constitution yet again. Right? Then you can also bring that cop up there, cross-examine him, because what you told me is that he told you didn't do anything wrong. Which, according to the Constitution, Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, papers, houses, and effects, meaning your car, against unreasonable searches and seizures, which he told you to step out, so he seized you, shall not be violated. And no warrant shall issue, meaning probable cause, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and persons or things to be seized. So he told you, I'm violating the Constitution by telling you you didn't do anything wrong, and then telling you to step out the car. So that's why you ask them, that's why you cross-examine that cop. And then you have the Constitution right here ready. So you set up the question, right? So you write for your questions, for your cross-examination, write this down, or record me saying this. You ask them, didn't you tell me that I didn't do anything wrong when you first stopped me?
Yes.
And what is your nationality first? Like,
Yeah, you can ask them that too. Right? So you ask them that question. Didn't you say I didn't do anything wrong when you first stopped me? It's a yes or no question. When he says yes, right, then you wait for your closing argument. So you write down that question, you write down his response, and you write down for your closing argument, you knowingly violated the Constitution, the Fourth Amendment, by stating I did nothing wrong, but you seized me anyway. So that's how you're setting them up. That's the play. You get it? You're playing them. Have the answer that you know they're going to say, write a question about it, and then relate it to how they violated the Constitution. You get what I'm saying? It's that simple. Right? So again, ask the cop when you cross-examine the cop, because you're already going through the bullshit. So you might as well be ready for the bullshit. cross-examine the cop. Also ask him, this is what I set up for my cousin too. Ask the cop, are you a law enforcement officer? Ask them. And what do we think they're going to say? Yes. Right? So now write down for your cross-examination, because you request a trial by jury. It's all fake. You shouldn't be in that venue anyway, but since you're already in it, I'm telling you how to prepare for it. Because I know you should be in federal court, right? Ask them, are you a law enforcement officer? They're going to say yes. Right? So for your closing argument, you're going to write, when I asked if you were a law enforcement officer, you said yes. Right? Then ask them, as a law enforcement officer, that means you know law, correct? That's another question. So then in your closing argument, you're going to say, then when I asked you if you knew law, you said yes. Right? Then ask them, right? Since you know law, because you answered the first question, yes. Is it not true in order for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party? Right? Which you don't even need to ask them that question. You can just set that up for the closing argument. Since you said yes and you know law, well, you're violating the previous decisions made by the courts that in order for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, so why you pull me over anyway? That means you knowingly violated the Fourth Amendment. Is that or is that not true? And since you're phrasing the questions like that, you're giving them the question and the answer and how it's a violation of the Constitution, you're giving that to the jury. Because they have to vote, not the judge. Although the judge is still going to pull them inside a room, tell them how to judge, because it's corrupt. But just for learning purposes, I'm giving you how to do it. Because it's the same way I'm giving it to you on the state level, that's how we're supposed to bring it to them on the federal level when we're suing them for violating the Constitution and treaty. You can ask the same questions to get the same answer, to get the same judgment. You get what I'm saying? You sure? And you can stop at those questions. You can ask more questions. You can ask the first question and that's it. You can ask the cop one question. Are you a law enforcement officer? They say yes. Then you can say, all right, no further questions. Then you can wait until the judge says, all right, now both parties are going to give their closing argument. Say to the jury, I asked this cop if he's a law enforcement officer, and he said yes. That means he's bound to know law. Well, the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. It says that we have the right to be secure in our person's papers and effects, and no seizure shall take place except without probable cause. And he admitted in his report that he didn't have probable cause. So this case must be dismissed for violation of my constitutional rights. If you don't want to say that, you can just go file a claim against him in federal court, raising the question using exactly what I just said, saying I'm challenging the constitutionality of this cop's actions because he violated my Fourth Amendment right. That's you raising the federal question in federal court. So either way, the principle works in state and federal. That's why I keep telling more, stop dealing with state level, because they know they don't have jurisdiction over you because the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional. We're a separate nation of people, federal court. Because like the prophet said, they place their trust upon issues formed by their forefathers. That trust is the treaty. That tells you we're a separate nation of people, not citizens of the United States. So why are you on the state level if you claim to be competent? You don't see Chinese people in there unless they're citizens of the United States. In fact, go downtown, 6th District Court, you'll see Portuguese consulate. And guess who you don't see in 6th District Court? The Portuguese. Why? Because they have a consulate. Why? Because they're a separate nation of people. Why? Because they enforce their law. Why? Because their people are armed. You get what I'm saying? It's the same, it's a cycle. More is going to keep coming here and I'm going to keep saying the same thing. Why? What does the prophet say about truth? The truth is ought and it never changes. So you're going to come here expecting to hear something different from me, and guess what I'm going to tell you? The same goddamn thing. And then guess what's going to happen? You're either going to see the truth and stick with it, or you're going to leave. Because that's what's been happening. Moore's coming here expecting to hear something different. You ain't a citizen of the U.S. They don't got jurisdiction over you. Everything they're doing to us is a crime. It's genocide. What more do you want to know? Protect yourself and help me protect me so I can help protect you so we can help protect each other. And then we'll wait until more people come so we can keep building and building and building and then protect each other. And then since we need to survive, Once we get enough people, we can go to the State House. See how I said this earlier, like 7 times? Go to the State House, tell them we don't need a license to do business. Stop paying taxes to them, because House Resolution 25 of the 116th Congress, January 3rd, 2019, admitted that the federal income tax in the IRS is destroying jobs, destroying families, is unfair, inequitable, and tax the people multiple times. You get what I'm saying? Do you believe me? You don't gotta believe me, I'll show you proof. I mean, because I just said House Resolution 25, they admitted that they're destroying families. I would expect you to say, show me proof. That's what I would expect, right? So I'm going to show you the proof. That was a fail. And excuse me for being all, I'm doing my antics because, this is like, I deal with a lot of our people and I see all the pain that these Europeans are putting on our people because of our own ignorance, our own unwillingness to enforce our rights. So it's not just the Europeans. So I'm like, I'm going to do what they do, just extra, because they say, hey, let me see your license and blah, 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 and I'm tactful, and I got my bulletproof vest and my gun, and I'm part of the law, because that's their demeanor. So I'm going to act the opposite of that, who they really are. Hey, nigger, show me your slave master's permission slip, and I'm going to slap you around because that's what they're doing to your spirit. So if you get mad at me for slapping your leg, well, get mad at them. Thank you. Thank you for, not beating the fuck out of me. Because I'm being real extra right now.
Viewers need to know.
They need to know.
This is
real. This is not just viewers.
This is real. This is a real spiritual battle.
So I brought up several times that we should not be paying taxes to them, that we don't need to register our businesses with them, that we need to come together to speak to them on the state and municipal level to enforce that right. Now I'm showing you House Resolution 25 of the 116th Congress, meaning today, right now, those people up there at the US, Washington, D.C., Congress, right now, all these senators and representatives, all these people there right now know about this information that I'm showing you. Again, it's bonded. I did not separate this. If I separated it, it would be damaged, which it is not. Meaning, the same information that came from the floor of Congress got sent to the Library of Congress. I requested it. They gave it to me just like this. Proceedings of the 116th Congress, first session. That means the first day they convened as Congress, they talked about this. Meaning they already knew about it. Because when you plan, I'm speaking to you like as if you don't know. When you plan a meeting to talk about something, you have minutes. In those minutes, you write down what you're going to discuss. So that's beforehand. So before they met, they already knew about this. It's called the Fair Tax Act of 2019, House Resolution 25. This is only page 1 to 8. It's like 100 pages. But I wasn't about to pay $1,000 for no 100 pages. Right? 116th Congress, first session. What's that date right there?
January 3rd, 2019.
So is this some 1775 and 1860, whatever? This is right today, right? This is affecting us, all of us, right? Our family members, everyone alive right now.
That's current affairs.
Current affairs. Today. This is what they said. Not me. This ain't my belief. Look at the seal again. Now I'm putting on these antics for a reason. Look at the seal. Again, this is not me saying this.
Library of Congress.
This is what it's about. House Resolution 25 to promote freedom. To promote freedom. That means without this, there is no freedom. With this thing in existence right now, that means there is no freedom. So to promote it, this is what they're trying to do. So to promote freedom, fairness, and economic opportunity by repealing, meaning getting rid of, the income tax and other taxes, abolishing, meaning destroying, to do away with, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, and enacting a national sales tax to be administered primarily by the states. When they say the states, they're saying the people. because the IRS is a private business,
Correct.
meaning not the people. In the House of Representatives, which is about 460 something representatives, there's only 100 senators, right? So that means 400 people of Congress know about this. Here's some of their names. Mr. Woodall for himself, Mr. Banks, and Mr. Bill Rackus, Mr. Bishop of Utah, Mr. Brooks of Alabama, Mr. Carter of Texas, Mr. Chabot, Mr. Conway, Mr. I don't even know what the hell that is, Mr. Duncan, Miss Fox of North Carolina, Mr. Gates, Mr. Graves of Georgia, Mr. Heiss of Georgia. So when they say of Georgia, they're talking about the representatives of said state. So these representatives in Congress, the legislative body of the United States. Now I'm putting emphasis on this because they are saying this, right? I'm not going to read all their names, but just so you have a brief overview of these people. No. Section 2, Congressional Findings. Findings related to federal income tax. Congress finds the federal income tax 1. Retards, meaning slows down. The word retard is a medical term. It's not derogatory. It's an actual, it means something. It's not connotative. It actually means something. Retards economic growth and has reduced the standard of living of the American people.
Deuce.
Any questions on that?
What does that mean?
That means since we're taxing you, we're making it so that your quality of life is shit. That's what that means.
Whatever you do, there's no cost.
Because they're taking 40% of your paycheck. That's almost half. You know what I'm saying? So imagine you got shirt, pants, and shoes. What if I take one of those from you? That means you got less. Which, if it's cold out, it's reducing your standard of living. Number 2, impedes the international competitiveness of the United States industry. Reduces saving and investment in the United States by taxing income multiple times. Slows the capital formation necessary for real wages to steadily increase. But then they'll proudly say, we just increased minimum wage to $15. Because that's for the niggers, to keep them happy.
Right.
In the background, they know all of this.
Right.
That's real wage.
Lowers productivity. Imposes unacceptable and unnecessary administrative and compliance costs on individual and business taxpayers. So that means they're saying it's unnecessary. We're just doing it because. Number 7 is unfair and inequitable, meaning it's not fair and has no fairness in it. That's what equity is, fairness. So they're telling you it's unfair twice. Number 8, unnecessarily intrudes upon the privacy and civil rights of United States citizens. So even for the dirty temple saying, yeah, we're U.S. citizens and we're under the Europeans, well, how come your government's doing this to you? How come you're allowing it? Because when you file your tax return, don't you give them all your information? Who you live with, your social, your address. That's all supposed to be private. How many dependents you got? What's your dog's name? On what street did you live in the 3rd grade for your security password so they know everything about you? What's your mother's maiden name? Yeah. Violating your 4th Amendment right. Hides the true cost of government by embedding taxes in the cost of everything Americans buy. But didn't they just have like several government shutdowns for lack of funds? So you're telling me that they've been taking finances out of everyone's paycheck and they shut down for lack of money? So what happened with all that money that they took out of your paycheck? What they do with it? How come they got multi-million-dollar houses but the government shut down?
Right.
If I was a citizen of the United States, that would, I would raise those concerns to my so-called senator or representative. Is not being complied with at satisfactory levels and therefore raises the tax burden on law-abiding citizens. So that means all the niggers are afraid to go to jail for not paying taxes. Meanwhile, Donald Trump can go on camera and say to you, I don't have to show you my tax return. Why? Because he ain't paying taxes. That's why. Does that make sense to you? Morris?
But we never asked why. Because the Mueller report that just came out in 2019 said taxes are voluntary.
Correct. Correct.
Oh, they ain't done. Number 11, impedes upward social mobility. Who knows what that means? It stops what? Your social life? It stops your status?
Stagnates your growth.
It stagnates your growth economically?
Your life stagnates.
So you're telling me it don't matter how much money I make, they're going to raise the taxes on me and I'll never be able to rise to the economic security that I want? They're admitting that to me? And we're not slapping them in the face? Oh. Findings relating to the federal payroll taxes. Congress finds further that the Social Security and Medicaid payroll taxes and self-employment taxes, number 1, raises the cost of employment. Number 2, destroys jobs and causes unemployment, but they're going to tell you the Mexicans are taking your jobs. That's what they're going to tell you on the media. Right. But on the floor of Congress, they're going to tell you, we're destroying your families. But don't worry. You better pay your taxes by April. Oh yeah, and we're destroying your family via taxes. Well, go ahead and keep doing that. And then you tell me slavery is not a choice. Now, I'm getting close to you because that's what they're doing. They're straight gangster in your face and you ain't doing nothing. This is, go to congress.gov right now on your phone and look this up. They don't even hide it. That's how gangster they are. That means they're saying to you, come to the temple at 7 o'clock. I'm handing out mean right hooks for free. And then our dumbasses go at 7 o'clock and we get a mean right hook and then we complain, how come I got punched in the face? How come we're in poverty? How come these Europeans, how come the white people are doing white supremacy to us? How come they're doing white supremacy to us? How come they're doing racism to us? Maybe we should elect black senators and black representatives. Because we're black. And they know all of this. And we're not slapping them in the face? So they just hit you with a right hook. Oh, I forgot. Jesus told you to turn the other cheek.
Hallelujah.
I forgot about that. I forgot you don't defend yourself. I forgot about that. I forgot you don't exercise your right to bear arms. I forgot about that. I forgot you think I'm God because I call myself the white man. And I put so much fear into you that you ain't going to do crap about it. But you're going to kill your own people.
Right.
Which is good for me. And then those of you who do learn something, you're going to go to the Prince Hall Masonic lodges that we set up for you. And then once you become a Master Mason, you're going to come to our shrines and we're going to make sure you sell out your people. Oh, don't worry. We're going to call the other half you Indians. So, you know, if you separate from the Masonic temple and the black sellout stuff, you go to the Indian sellout stuff, which is the same shit. Don't worry about that. We got you. We got you covered.
Put you on a reservation.
Yeah, we'll put you on a reservation so you don't got to struggle like everyone else. You know, instead of having one pair of shoes, we'll give you 2. Just call yourself Indian, my boy.
They're already taking the reservation too.
Benefits and privileges.
This is what Congress is telling.
This is crazy.
So you're telling me, if I was a new Moor, right? If I was an unstudied Moor, and I didn't know about this, and I go to a temple, and my Grand Sheikh tells me that I'm a citizen of the United States of America, and the United States of America's legislative body is telling me this, I'm going to have problems with the whole everything. Right. With the Grand Sheikh who told me that, and my so-called representatives from whatever so-called European state that I'm in. I'm going to have problems with everybody. Because I thought that this was a free whatever, and we're all Americans and all gun-ho and we're all proud to be whatever. But they're telling you, hold on, I wasn't done. has a disproportionately adverse impact on lower income Americans. Who the hell are they talking about? Us. Specifically us.
Yeah, said that. Lower income America.
So they're telling you it's targeted against you. That's what they're telling you. But I'm a proud U.S. citizen. Now you see why when the Prophet had the Moorish American flag and the Star Spangled Banner, the Moorish American flag was upside down, which means our nation's under duress because this is what they're doing to us. How are you a citizen of that? That means you agree to this. So if you tell me you're a citizen of that, that means you're my enemy. Right? Because if the Japanese are at war with, let's say, China, and then the Germans pull up to the Japanese people, be like, yeah, you know, China's our boys and all that, and we're Chinese, whatever, we're with them. The Japanese people are like, whoa, hold on, we got some problems. You know what I'm saying? Tracking?
It's crazy.
Sure? We good? Hi. Yes. You can take pictures of all this stuff. Any questions? You see how they're just straight thugging? Walking around here untouched, straight gangster. But they're in a suit so you don't see it. You expecting a gangster to wear a hoodie, tight around the face, and some baggy pants. That's what you expect a gangster to look like. But these gangsters right in your face. Yeah, vote for me. I'm a Democrat. I'm going to destroy your family. You just don't know it, stupid. Take a picture, shaking your hand. Yeah, I'm doing community outreach. This is a grassroots organization. And I teach black people about 14th Amendment. We're U.S. citizens. This is good old grassroots, whatever. In your face. Selling you out. And the reason why you can't tell is because you lack knowledge. Go ahead and keep voting for these people. And then, when there's someone telling you the truth, go ahead and keep not protecting them.
Right.
See what we get as a people. Because I'm not about to point the finger at the Europeans all day. When I think, this is what I think, this is my personal opinion, that outside my house, there should be an armed guard. That's what I think. Because what I know is that these Europeans, the governor of Rhode Island, guess what's outside her house every day? It's called an armed detail. They don't even call it armed, they just say detail. What are they doing? They're looking at the details of the neighborhood to make sure that there's no anomalies. What's going to be an anomaly? Something out of the ordinary. What would be out of the ordinary? Someone who's aggressive walking towards the governor's house. That's what they're there for. Because I'm telling you right now, it was very difficult for those Europeans to touch the Prophet. Why? Because there was 3,000 Moors in Chicago. 3,000. There's only 300 cops in the city of Providence. You think they're going to touch 3,000 Moors?
What was that?
Yeah, but he funneled them. That was a funnel. So if we're thinking, if we got small numbers and we need to funnel them, City Hall, State House. Because out on the street, we're outnumbered. But in those buildings, we outnumber them. But in order for that to happen, we have to live together. Because if I say, yo, Moors, we got a meeting with city officials at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and y'all hour away, and y'all got to work somewhere else, y'all got to call out of work. Then if it don't work, then you can't show up. You know what I'm saying? Too many problems. Any questions? Yes?
When we move here, where are we moving?
Where are you moving? Well, actually, Jude and I looked at a building. It's 2 families and a store out front. It's like 200 and something thousand. But if there was a bunch of us, if all of y'all wanted to move here, right? Let's just imagine all y'all wanted to move here. Instead of coming on a Saturday, we can come on a business day and go to the State House and speak to these people and talk about how come Gina Raimondo discharged her $700,000 mortgage house for $1. So when we try to move out here, We don't have to pay no $200,000 mortgage. We can just say, yo, discharge that, we're moving in. Adverse possession, huh?
What do I say?
Keep up. See with me? This is not against you. This is just me. And what I've been hearing the 2 years I've been doing this is this from Moors. Matter of fact, there was a Moor that told me straight to my face in front of a bunch of Moors, I will die for Jamal. That's what he said. Then, a few months later, he threatened to kill me.
Wow.
So you talking, and this again, this ain't against you, cuz that's my blood right there. That's literally my cousin. You doing this don't mean nothing. And I don't want to air out your stuff, but this is probably like the third time you've been here. You know? So if y'all telling me y'all want to do something, I better see you here consistently before I make a move with anybody. Because when I make my moves, me, this is me. I'm dead serious. I'm walking around with Moors out here that want to kill me. You get what I'm saying? So this ain't a game. So when I go outside, I'm ready for whatever. There's Indians that don't like me here because I'm exposing them.
Right.
And I'm in Dodo. So I know when I step outside, it's a problem. You get what I'm saying? That's how real this is. So y'all gonna have to show me some type of realness.
Right.
Not just showing up on a Saturday once in a while.
Question.
Yeah.
How far is 840 Providence?
Show each other.
West Warwick from here?
West Warwick?
Yeah.
How far is Warwick? 15 minutes? So, back to the point. If we could probably like 15 minutes. That's not far. You can get across Rhode Island in 30 minutes. So that means tactfully, if you pulled over somewhere, yo, Moors, pull up. Alright. Right? So, any Moors want to move out here, we have to start meeting more often than just Saturdays. And then on an actual meeting, one of us who lives here schedule something with the State House so we can speak to them like that. With the stuff from Gino Raimondo's mortgage discharge from City Hall right there present so we can put it right in their face. Yo, our people trying to move out here because this is our land. If your governor is able to discharge her $700,000 mortgage, which her house is fucking beautiful, excuse my language, look it up, 525 Elm Grove, Providence, Rhode Island, beautiful house, huge, multiple bedrooms for $1, our people should be able to do the same shit.
Got a few dollars.
I'll put a quarter up. You put a quarter up. You put a quarter up. You put a quarter up. That means we can afford a $700,000 house. Now, I said it, right? I just said that. Let me prove it to you. Because that's what y'all came here for, right? Proof. Can you hand me that binder behind you, please? And thank you very much. Yes. I think it's in there. Or it might be in that stack of papers right there. Yeah. Because I was doing this with someone else. Oh, this is passes around. That's from Illinois, state of Illinois, saying that we're Aboriginal Indigenous Moors to North, South, and Central America. Nah, that's from the state, not just the city of Chicago. The whole state of Illinois.
That's what I got from Jetty yesterday.
Oh, from the Jetty?
Yeah.
Oh, right here, boom. So again, this is the governor of Rhode Island. The Supreme Executive Authority. Supreme Executive Authority. I'm going to give you the address first, so write this down. And go to like Zillow.com or whatever, one of these mortgage house for sale things, to see how much it's worth. 525, I'll write it down. So it's 525 Elm Grove Ave, Providence, Rhode Island 02906. That's her address. Let me know when you have it up so you can see how beautiful this home is.
It's the green one?
Yep, the green one. See the bushes looking all good, right? How much is the house worth? Because at the time when I looked it up, it was $780,000. How many of y'all can afford that?
That's still 762,000.
So 762,000.
400.
I'm gonna read this to you.
Who cares about that?
And you see this right here? Certified copy. This is a true recorder of deeds, Providence, Rhode Island. 057388 at book number 10245, page number 335. Received for record, attest, July 11, 2018. Certified copy. You can see it's embossed. Got it from the recorder of deeds. Meaning this is public information. Meaning I went to City Hall, just typed in her name, and this popped up. Release of mortgage / deed of trust. Does that say paid? This is a release. Right? Released it, right? Thank you. Sorry. Know all men by these presents that the undersigned for and in consideration of the payment. Does that say payment? No. I considered it. Right? So if I'm selling you my book, right? So let's say this is my book. My book is normally $40 in person. I'll consider payment, but nah, you can just have it. I considered it. I considered it. Normally costs 40. You know, I'll be losing 40 notes, but whatever, you my people, so here you go. Consideration of payment. Of indebtedness secured in the cancellation. That's a payment. So if I say my book's normally 40, and I say, nah, here, I cancel the payment. Of all the notes, not money, thereby secured, and the sum of $1, the receipt whereof is hereby acknowledged, does hereby remiss, release, satisfy, convey, and quit claim onto Andrew K. Moffitt and Gina Raimondo, tenants by the entirety, heirs, legal representatives, successors, and or assignees, and assigns all right, title, interest, claim, or demand whatsoever it may have acquired in, through, or by a certain mortgage / deed of trust bearing the date February 18, 2009, meaning she's been living in this house mortgage-free since 2009. Filed for the record in the land records of the Township of Providence City and Providence County, State of Rhode Island as instrument number 00004334 in book number 9344 at page number 163 on February 23rd, 2009. So they got the mortgage February 18th, February 23rd, they canceled it. So that means in public, yeah, we got to get mortgages too, and we're struggling. And then the next day, yeah, go ahead and discharge that. That was just for the niggers to keep them in check.
Yeah, I want to take.
No, yeah, this is gonna go around. I got to put up my antics. Property address 525 Elm Grove, Providence, Rhode Island 02906, and testimony whereof the said Mortgage Electronic Registration System Inc., acting solely as nominee for Homestar Mortgage Inc., its successors and assigns, has caused these presents to be signed by its assistant secretary, dated April 10th, 2012. Mortgage Electronic Registration System Inc., acting solely as nominee for Homestar Mortgage Inc., its successor and signs, received Providence for the record April 23rd, 2012 at 2:02 and 30 seconds p.m. Document number 0003582, John A. Murphy, who's the city tax collector, and the chief recorder of deeds. Yeah, we've had some conversations. Signed, Abigail Rowe, assistant secretary, state of Florida, county of Duval, etc. Take pictures. So that's what we need to do when Moors want to come out here. Let's actually plan this. Something in the military called BAMSIS. It's an acronym. B means begin the planning. A means arrange reconnaissance. M means make the reconnaissance. C means complete the planning. I is issue orders. The last one, which is the most important step, is supervise. So if you want to move out here, we have to start beginning the planning. And then arrange the reconnaissance of where you think you want to go. Complete the planning, right? Oh yeah, my bad. Make the reconnaissance, right? So go check it out. Then go to the State House, schedule the meeting, right? Then you complete the planning of what we're going to say to these people. Then we issue orders of, you're going to be our protector. You don't say nothing. You make sure he don't say nothing. You make sure they don't say nothing. You make sure he's protecting all of us. You're going to say this to the governor. You're going to say this to the Secretary of State. You're going to say this to the sheriff. You're going to say this to the chief, to the police chief. And then we're going to go in there. We're all going to say so-and-so's in charge. They're going to do the majority of the speaking. This is what we're going to go over. Make sure all that shit happens. We're going to practice here first. Then we execute. BAMCIS. BAMCIS. That was a great question.
Oh, thank you. I have it.
Great.
Okay, so I sent around.
Is that paper being sent around? Yeah, pass that around, please.
Sent it around.
Because the governor did this.
So I've been sending out the petition to the White House for the recognition of Aboriginal and Indigenous Moors. Sending it out to Moors, asking people to sign the petition if you see fit. And somebody, a Moor, wrote me back in the DM, and he said, let me just read what he said. Okay. He said, the word petition weekly means asking permission. Moors don't petition, we do affidavits.
Let me address that.
Please address it.
I'll address it right now.
Thank you.
That was in the group chat?
No, I was just sending it out to people
No.
that I know, and somebody sent it back.
The prophet called it the more science temple of America, right? Science means you're studying something, right? So you're not basing your opinion off your own belief, right? Etymology, thanks to the master etymologist Abdullah El Talib Mosi Bey, has taught us that etymology is a science, correct?
Yeah.
All right. If you study master etymologist Abdullah El Talib Mosi Bey, you've probably seen the video where he goes over the consonant sound and language chart, right? Where he goes over guttural sounds, labial dental sounds, all that kind of stuff, right? So you can break this down multiple ways. You can break this down using a consonant sound and language chart, asking someone how G and T are interchangeable. Because you can argue P and B phonetically. Right? But in order for that to mean beg, the root word would have to translate to beg. Right? Which T and G would then have to be interchangeable. Which it does not. Because the root word of petition is pet. Which means to rush, to attack, to speed up. And if you don't believe me, go to this website, etymonline.com, which gives you the etym or truth behind the words.
It says suit, a claim.
Yeah, it will also say a petition is a civil action or a suit. So we're rushing the Congress to recognize us. The only way to rush them, which when you think of rush, think of rushing water, because you are 70% water, and you are 70% water, and all of us is 70% water, so when we're moving, we're rushing. So when we're all signing this petition, we're rushing it to the floor of Congress. That's why I needed 100,000, because once you get 100,000, they have to address it. So we sped it up. That's what petition means, to speed up, to rush, not to beg. Which, if you don't believe me, then show me linguistically how T and G are interchangeable. Which you can't. Now, the reason why people say that is because someone told them that, they didn't do research, and they believed it. I'm telling you to look this up. Don't believe a word I've ever said ever in my entire life. Because there was a point in time where I thought I was black. So to make sure I'm not wrong as a Moor, look up everything I tell you. Because if I was stupid enough to believe that I was a crayon, that means I'm prone to make more mistakes in my life. So make sure I'm not making a mistake. Hold me accountable. Pull me by my coattail. In the Marines, we say we're policing each other. Because that's what nations do. Now, this is not a personal attack against that person. But for someone who knows this, I would say, well, that's stupid. Because phonetically, T and G, T, G, does that even sound the same?
No.
Scientifically, we don't even in the DNA structure.
I just
You see what I'm saying? See? Yeah,
I'm
just,
not gonna argue.
yeah, don't.
What are you gonna do? I'm sorry, okay.
Arguing is supposed to be establishing clarity through facts. Debating is just disagreeing. Then when you look up the definition of intelligence or intellect, it'll say your capacity to comprehend simple truth. Simple truth, not complex. Simple truth. That's simple. Phonetically, meaning sound, T and G don't sound the same. So how would the root word of petition mean to beg? Now you could argue P and B phonetically, which they are interchangeable, but T and G, T is an alveolar sound, meaning your tongue touches the root of your mouth. G is a guttural. How is that interchangeable? You can't make T sound like a guttural sound. Nope, don't work. You know what I'm saying? That's more science for you. That's the importance of more science. That's the importance of knowing language. Because first there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and all things come into existence through Him. So we're trying to get Congress to recognize our existence by rushing them with words. That's why we're signing a petition. We're not begging for shit. I'm an Aries, so let me just give you a little thing about Aries. We like freedom, and we're not begging for nothing. If you know an Aries in your life, ask them the last time they begged for anything. See, you're about to slap him, right? Just for asking you the question, you want to slap him up, huh? You see what I'm saying? So ain't no way. I'm supposed to be a Grand Sheik, right? That's what the people appointed me. Ain't no way I'm about to beg some colonists for crap. All I'm trying to do is rush some information to their desk so they stop harming my people. That's what I'm doing. I ain't begging no European. Get the hell out of here with that. But that's how you challenge folly with intellect, with science, with something of real value, not opinion. It's not my opinion that T and G are not interchangeable. Look it up. Show me in what language that T and G are interchangeable. Nope. Any other questions? That's a great. You just come with great stuff.
I'm counting mama, I got it. That's what I do.
That's right. Any other questions? Any additions? I can shut up for a while.
Any y'all got questions? I know you like to pick my mind all the time. I'm going to the sheik.
You've been live for like 16 hours, huh? Good.
I mean, would you like to expound upon some of the adverse claims?
Yeah. All right. So let me break it down. Actually, first, remind me of that because I'm gonna go.
Was saying, purchase a big piece of land.
Shh. The governor just discharged a $700,000 house. Why would you buy anything?
Right.
Now let's go into Congress.
What is your opinion?
Right? Congress. Because her ability to discharge a $700,000 house for $1 is because the dollar has no value. So it doesn't matter if you have one of them or 700,000 of them, it still has no value. Right. If you doubt whether what I'm saying is true, like the prophet said, if you doubt whether my philosophies are necessary for the salvation of my people and citizens, go to those who know law and ask them in an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply. So I took that mindset and I applied it to Congress, and I looked up House Resolution 5404, and this is what they said. Which, this is from this is March 22nd, 2018. This bill was reintroduced to this 116th Congress under a new number. So it's still in existence, just has a new number. Meaning, this ain't the first time it was introduced to the floor of Congress, meaning this is the first time they talked about it. Meaning, this ain't new information. House Resolution 5404, again, Library of Congress, again, is bonded. I did not break this. It went from the floor of Congress to the Library of Congress to me, like this, right? Now, just for the record, yes, this is a bill. No, it's not passed as law, but it is an admittance of guilt. Get it? So, this is a shoe, right? We don't need to pass a bill to explain that this is a shoe, right? The United States dollar has no value. They don't need a bill to be passed to state that. They're already stating it in the proposed bill, right? 115th Congress, second session, House Resolution 5404 to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold in the House of Representatives, March 22nd, 2018. Mr. Mooney, Moon, silver, money, of West Virginia, first European colony, introduced the following bill, which was referred to the Committee on Financial Services, being enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled. Section number 1, findings. Congress finds the following. Number 1, the United States dollar has lost 30% of its purchasing power, meaning value, since the year 2000. And 96% of its purchasing power since the end of the gold standard in 1913. Any questions on that? Now since, Good.
What is that 30? What is the difference between the 30%?
So it's from a time period. So from the year 2000, the value of it lost 30%.
Okay,
but since 1913, in total, it lost 96% of its value. So that means it's just going down and down and down and down. That's how the governor is able to say, well, you want 700,000, well, here's $1 because it's all worthless anyway.
Excuse me, it's not worthless, it's worth 4% of its
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Instead of worth 100 pennies, it's worth 4 pennies. I apologize. But since it's not backed by anything, because the value is the paper and ink. That's the actual value, the paper and ink. That has value.
You have better luck owning the pennies.
You get what I'm saying? Because it costs to get paper. You have to cut down trees. That goes through a process, so that has value. Then the ink, you have to, wherever ink comes from, octopuses or whatever. You got to put the ink in the pen and then you got to use it. So that's why it has that value. But it's not backed by anything besides the paper and the ink, so it has theoretically none. Because you can get a cartridge of ink from Staples. You can get paper from Staples. So getting it from the U.S. Treasury is nothing special. Right? That's why she's able to discharge her mortgage for $1. And of course, I have the book, the green book in my office. Oh yeah, pass that around as well. Don't damage it, please, or I'm giving out free slaps at 7. Rhode Island general laws recognize adverse possession, which is acquiring title to land by not paying anything, which we're indigenous people, and Obama signed the rights of indigenous people. So he did that for us. He didn't do shit for black people because we ain't black, but he signed the rights of indigenous people for indigenous people so we can claim our land without having to pay a dime. Which these Europeans know about. It's adverse possession. It's Title 34, Chapter 7, Section 1 of Rhode Island General Laws. I'll get my book and show you. Imagine if Moors knew that.
Imagine what they had to go through just to conform that. Whoever wrote that.
Plotting in here. Where is it? Title 34. This property. Oh, right here. I think this is it. Business and professions. This is not it. Oh, right here. So again, if you doubt whether what the hell I'm saying is the truth, if you think I'm lying to you, if you're a student at Johnson & Wales University, which I'm lecturing this Wednesday at Johnson & Wales, if you're a student there, go to your law library, which they have one on campus, and get this book. If you're not a student of Johnson & Wales, that means you can't get inside that building. Go to the Rhode Island Supreme and Superior Court, located at 250 Benefit Street, Providence, Rhode Island. On the 8th floor, the law library. Ask the clerk for Rhode Island General Laws. She'll take you to the right. The books are on the front side of the library, and they're all green. Get General Laws of Rhode Island, the 6th book, dealing with probate practice to property, Title 34. Let's just open up this book. Let's just go to the table of contents. Property by possession, page 339. Possession and property, chapter 7, title 34, chapter 7, section 1. That's what I said, right? Oh, look at that. It's right here. It exists. Conclusive title by peaceful possession under claim of title. Where any person or persons or others from whom he, she, or they derive their title either by themselves, tenants, or lessees by themselves, because we're Aboriginal and Indigenous, so of course the title comes from ourselves, shall have been for the space of 10 years. Now this is called a statutory provision. The law of adverse possession is based on the common law. The amount of time you have to be there is a statutory provision where these Europeans made that up. And since we're not Europeans, guess what does not apply to us? And if you don't believe me, check adverse possession in every other state and you'll see the time frame is different. Truth does not change. Meaning, that's a statute. That's a statute doesn't apply to you. Huh? Yeah. Right, 10 years. In the uninterrupted, quiet, peaceful and actual session in possession of any lands, tenements, or hereditaments. Your inheritance, your land. For and during that time, claiming the same as his or her or their property, sole and rightful estate, in fee simple, meaning you didn't pay a dime, the actual session and possession shall be allowed to give and make a good and rightful title to the person or persons, their heirs, and assigns forever, and any plaintiff suing for the recovery of any such lands may rely upon the possession as conclusive title thereto, blah, 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 blah. Talks about your right to sue if someone's claiming your stuff. But they're telling you, yeah, we recognize adverse possession because it's the common law. But then they put their statutory provision of 10 years, which don't apply to you, on here. But this is just proof that they recognize the common law. Just like when I tell you, you don't need a license to open carry, which they might change now because I'm doing it. Don't be surprised if that happens. And the so-called state of Rhode Island, they recognize adverse possession. Then if you simply Google on your phone right now, adverse possession on Wikipedia, it'll talk about defense of that land. What you gonna defend it with, an affidavit? So again, when I keep telling y'all to move out here, it's so when it comes time to adverse possess some land for this Rise of the Moors University, so we can put our children in there, so they can have a place to stay and learn, we're gonna have to protect said land. Which is why I said it's gonna cost about $504,000, right? To modify and fix whatever needs to get fixed. Maybe to install some solar panels. And the tuition is gonna be 850 notes a year. If we have 1,000 students, that can pay for teachers, so we can pay the teachers. That can pay for armed security, so we can pay them to protect our university. That can pay for the people doing maintenance on the university, the lawn, stuff like that. So not only are we providing a place for our people to stay, we're providing them room and board, we're paying our people, and we're teaching our people.
When is that happening?
Oh yeah, the convention is January 8th, 2020 on the Prophet's birthday, which I suggest you looking up the chart for that day, and you see how powerful that day is. Today's a new moon? That means we're not sleeping tonight. We never sleep during the new moon. We're just up late.
Yeah, today's another powerful day. So manifest something.
Does that answer your question? So now, to make it even simpler. Wait, you asked that question, right? My bad. I'm sorry.
Same question.
Yeah. So, to break it down even simpler. Remember in the Bible it says, observe all things which I commanded of you, and lo, the truth is with you always. Meaning observe nature and you'll see the truth. something called a hermit crab. You know what a hermit crab is? Hermit crab has a little shell. Then when it gets too big, it takes the shell off and picks up another shell, right? There's videos on YouTube of hermit crabs exercising their right to adverse possession. They'll size up a shell. Because remember, in the Quran, your holy Quran that the Prophet told you to read, which I left at home, it says, chapter 24, verse, can't remember.
I had it all written down.
It says it's no fault of your own if you enter in a house not used for living and you use it for some other purpose, adverse possession. That's nature's law. So it's no fault that a hermit crab outgrows its shell, sees an abandoned shell, sizes it up, like, oh yeah, I like this, and then takes it. So now it's not your fault. It's no fault of your own as the Aboriginal and Indigenous people of North, South, and Central America for you to see a abandoned house, for you to go down to the tax assessor, ask them who's claiming it, go down to the recorder of deeds, figure out their address, send them a letter saying, well, if you don't plan on using this home, I'm going to use it. If you don't respond in 30 days, then you default and it's mine. And you put down a recorder of deeds and you file it, and now it's titled by adverse possession. It's not your fault if you do that. Want to know why? Because if you go down to Broad Street, next to Crossroads, you'll see a bunch of people that look like you, and you, sleeping in the grass. Meanwhile, there's about 14 houses right down the street that's abandoned. Whose fault is that? Partly ours, partly the Europeans, but with this piece, it won't be none of the Europeans' fault. You get what I'm saying? Are we tracking? Are we sure? There should be no, no, I'm playing. There should be no questions about this, no more. Are we finished? Is you finished or is you done? You had a question?
Back and forth, talking about the Quran, saying Jamal doesn't have a Quran, which you do.
My Quran's all beat up, actually, because I actually read it. And they say I don't have one.
But they think you believe in a sky daddy since you read from the Quran.
What does that say right there?
This book belongs to Jamal Talib
Abdullah Bey. This book belongs to Jamal Talib Abdullah Bey. Oh, I don't have one? Is it because my cover's gone? Because I actually read it and highlight stuff and write stuff in it. The Quran of Mecca. Oh, the green one that I've showed for the camera multiple times. That I got off Amazon. That's translated by Abdullah Yusuf Ali. That one that I don't have. That I brought you one to. Oh, my bad. I thought I didn't have one. I'm sorry. That I quote in my third book several times. Oh, I'm confused.
It's gotta be someone who can't spell Quran.
Right.
No, they're just saying
That's usually how it is.
they think since you read the Quran that you believe in God as a fictional, like the man.
That's weird because in the Quran it says, "Verily I say unto you, Allah will never change the condition of a people unless those people change it themselves," which means Allah is in me, so how could I possibly believe in something outside of myself besides other gods? So now I know monotheism because I'm one, and then polytheism because there's multiple gods right in front of me. So what do you... And then we're governed by what happens up there. So we can see, okay, it's time to plant our seeds, and then it's time to harvest them, and then it's time to dress warm because the winter's coming. So what the hell are they talking about? Because in the very Quran itself, it says some of these lessons are for principles and foundation of your life. Others are allegorical stories, which those who have perversity in their heart will act like they know the meanings of those allegorical stories. So what are you talking about? I don't have the Quran. I have both Qurans. And I have a Quran right here. Because the word Quran means heart. So what are you talking about? Quran, cardiac, corazon, cardiac. What's this?
Cardiac valve.
Oh.
Cardiovascular.
So where's your Quran at?
In the hat. That's not just a good info.
So I'm alive right now, right? So I have one right here. I'm confused. Unless they're confused. I don't know. Any real questions? Oh yeah, sign up. I don't have the link. Dang it.
What is it under?
If you go to my Instagram or go to,
I'm gonna send it to
I don't remember.
And you can.
We'll just put it in the description of this video after the video. Yeah. Any real questions? Because I can tell jokes all day.
You have a question, sir? As a Moorish American nation, how are we gaining access to
This? So there's multiple ways you can do it. You can use the straw man to get it, which all they do is do a background check. And that's basically it. Or you can use your free national name, and they have a slot for the USCIS number, which is where you put the AA222141. But then when you do that, of course, you face the challenges of them not accepting it, which then you have to sue them and blah, 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 blah. Or, of course, is the other way, which they call illegal, and get it that way. That's the truth. I'm not going to give you no holy moly macaroni answer. That's the truth. Right? But if they give you problems with your nationality card, that would be a trigger like, oh, maybe I should convene with other Moors and go to the State House and express my rights as an indigenous person and show them Title 28 or Title 18, one of those, subsection 1091 D3, where it says they have to recognize my ID. Title 18. Or United States Justice Department Criminal Resource Manual 1508, where it says they have to recognize my Moorish ID.
See how codes are recited off this man said, like, I used to watch my mom, aunties, uncles, and grandfathers. When they're ready to talk to us, they recite Bible verses off the top of it. Samuel, Luke, John 14:13 says this, and they giving it to us no remedy. It's allegorical. It's a white guy in the sky. This is remedy. You hear, well, this title, this chapter, this act that they wrote, you bring it right back to them, you get remedy. So we gotta be like, not to say that everyone has to be that sharp, but it helps. It helps when you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So when I say use a straw man, I'm not saying, identify as that. I'm saying if you have to use that name, by any means, I'm talking about by any means necessary, get this. Because by any means necessary, we have to start protecting ourselves. Period, right? So if you got to use that, do it. Dang. Yeah, so if you're going to use that, all rights reserved. All rights reserved. UCC, 1-308. You know what I'm saying? No. As long as you know. All right, I got the UCCs posted somewhere.
We were just talking about contracts.
This is what the UCCs are for. Let me show you.
They're uniform commercial code. Yeah. Since everything is commercial.
Because I've heard a lot of Moors say, if you use it, then you're in their jurisdiction. Us talking is a contract. So,
correct. You're absolutely right.
You get
Just talk. We're just talking.
UCC 1-103, construction of uniform commercial codes to promote its purpose, meaning this is telling you what its purpose is, and policies, applicability of supplemental principles of law. So if you don't want to use maxims and principles of law, you can use this. Right. Meaning what's superior to this? Maxims and principles of law. This is based on Hammurabi's code of law, meaning your ancient forefathers. The Uniform Commercial Code must be liberally construed, meaning up to your interpretation. Meaning you can use this or not use it, liberally, free. We don't got to use this. We can use, hey bro, what's good? That's law. You know, every time you walk by a so-called black person, you nod. That's law right there.
We all do it.
Be liberally construed and applied to promote its underlying purpose and policies, which are 1, to simplify, clarify, and modernize the law governing commercial transactions. That means if you don't know how to contract, study these so you can have a basis. That's all it's for. Right. That's what they said, not me. So how, the purpose of it is so you don't be confused. So how does that make you subject to them? It's how you contract that makes you subject to them. Because if I say, hey bro, sign this adhesion contract full of chicanery and you don't know what none of that means, then what?
Yes, you can. You would not.
Because if you don't know what that means,
Like, where do I sign? You said there's chicken involved?
you get what I'm saying? Look, how can something that another man made How can you be subject to that thing that another man made if you're a man? Meaning mind. How are you God and you're subject to something that another God made? That must mean you're not God. Last time I checked, you're God. So you might want to start acting like God. You get what I'm saying? Right? Any questions on that? So it's just used to simplify commerce. So if you don't know it, study this so you can have a general concept. Yes.
So how do we, as a people, and for the guys who's woke like us, as you can see, and the ladies that have some type of status in this, how do we get the people with records, with felonies, with this stigma on them to get woke and to bear arms?
So this is the point. So this is why. This is why we do the name correction, right? This is the point of that. Because the felony is under this name, not this name. Right? Right? So what we're teaching you to do is do a name correction. I don't know what dough translates to. Wait. How do you spell it? It's Yakanan. I don't know how to spell that. Whatever. Let's just put Yosef. Yeah, it's Yakanan. Whatever. Right? The felony is in this name. So if your Moorish ID says this, you ain't got no felonies. Because 99% of the time, when they convict our people of a felony, there is no victim. Meaning no human being who is harmed. Meaning our people are not felons.
Right.
That's part of the reason why that exists. Now, of course, as a Moor, to clarify for the record, you're supposed to live by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So don't tarnish that name once you get it. So if you were a felon before, once you're reborn in the mind, don't be a felon again. Because if you do, you're on your own. Because I'm not risking my life for no felon. Now, if you tell me they're charging you with a felony and I see that you didn't harm no one, I'm risking my life for you. But if you just murdered 10 people and you say, well, I'm a Moor, Jamal, well, you did that. I'm not taking on that debt. Get it? That's what that's for. Because they got jurisdiction over this. They don't got jurisdiction over that unless you give it to them. Get what I'm saying? Because they created that birth certificate, right? So it's voodoo. You know voodoo, right? Imagine the birth certificate is a voodoo doll. They're saying you're guilty, but if you think you're that, then you're guilty. That's how they're holding you as surety for the birth certificate. That's how it's a bond. It's a mental bond. Get what I'm saying? That's how it works. So now you authenticating that, does that change anything? Can you claim that that's yours when some other man made it to put you into bondage? Bondage? Let's be real. Let's be real. It's always more saying authenticate it and you'll be... There's a Moor in the consulate who said authenticate your birth certificate and they cannot arrest you. And guess what happened to her on camera? She got arrested.
What are you doing?
Now, I'm not promoting any more get arrested. I hate that. Excuse me, I strongly dislike it. Because that means I'm next, and I'm not going to be next. You get what I'm saying? So don't listen to this folly. Well, you got a seal on a document, so that means you can't get arrested now with a guy with a gun. Oh, that makes sense in imagination land. Meaning these people are delusional.
If it was that simple, we'd all be at the gates of freedom like, hey, how you doing?
If it was that simple, everyone we would still be Christians right now saying I'm free because we've been saying it.
It was that simple.
Come on. That's why I read in the beginning, they're trying every weak mind to drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. Don't be confused. You're on this physical planet, buddy. Physically protect yourself, buddy. physically get closer to other physical people who are going to physically protect you, buddy. Because if not, I don't know what the hell you want me to tell you. Because I've been sitting here saying the same thing for 2 years straight. Well, you know, I've grown over time, so not technically the same things. But the same concept of we're a separate nation of people. Nations have militaries. Nations live together. Nations protect each other. That's why I joined the military, because I thought it was part of their nation, which isn't even a nation. It's a federal government, which isn't even a government. It's a federal corporation, which just means a group of Europeans acting like government who colonized our people's minds, which that's how they got the land. They had to get to your mind to get to the land, because if you're protecting right there, I can't get there unless I get rid of you. So now I'm affecting your spirit to get you physically out the way to get this. So now I physically live a good life. So it's not, again, it's not just a spiritual battle. It's a physical battle. It's divine and national, meaning it's spiritual and physical. That's why they send you the letter in the mail to mess with you spiritually. Then they send a cop to your door to get you out physically. Oh, spiritually and physically. My bad, I messed that up. But you get what the hell I'm saying. This is not complex. This is very simple, right? If you want to sit right here and I'm in it, guess who you gotta move? This. And guess who's in it? Me. So you gotta move me.
Or are you standing on your square? Or we can all lift you.
Oh yeah, or you can just lift the chair and get me out of it. You get what I'm saying? And the chair, the hypothetical chair situation, right? I got around 30 rounds in here, one in the chamber. I can only aim this so far. So if all of you are coming at me, I can only fight myself so much. So you're gonna win. It don't matter if I have this or not. All of you are gonna beat me. You get what I'm saying? Meaning numbers matter. It don't matter if I got this. If there's more of y'all than I can deal with this, then I'm losing. You tracking?
Right.
So on this physical plane, numbers matter. Numbers. That's why they do everything in their power to recruit our people into their military, their police system, their form of government, their mindset, their schools, their university, which means they win. So keep playing around if you want to, Morris. Keep playing and see how far you get. Keep playing. Now you can keep playing with the Connect 4. See, the children telling you, keep playing. I'm hot right now.
I know, he's on fire. Boy's on fire.
16 hours later. Any other questions? These are great questions. Just so you know, I love y'all. I don't know you from a hole in the wall, but I love y'all. I'm giving you the heat right now. I'm giving you all of me right now because this means everything to me. When I found out I was a Moor, I cried. I'm proud of that. I feel like crying right now. My whole life changed from not knowing who the hell I was to knowing we're the most powerful people on the planet, and we taught these Europeans everything. I had no inclination of that shit. So now, knowing that they removed that from every single one of us to get into the position that they're in right now to rule, I'm telling. I'm snitching on them. They did this to you, knowingly. They know you're the God of the earth, and they made you a nigger. What you gonna do about it? I'm telling on them.
Remember,
Snitching on them.
Remember, you gotta be careful what you say in front of me. Remember.
What you gonna do about it, Leonidas? You gonna move down here and help me? What's up? See, I'm challenging you. Move down here.
We are moving on.
I like that. I like we are.
Excuse me for almost crying.
We have.
Oh, good.
We have a space.
Yeah. We've been.
That's what I was asking because that's an address for.
Huh?
That was an address for an Islamic school.
What?
So I was asking how far it is.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be careful with these so-called Muslims out here, though. I've spoken to some, and they ain't. They cowards too.
They're still kissing their.
No, I know.
But don't forget.
They ain't in this room.
When it comes to the Muslims,
There you go.
it's different of them.
I know.
Because
you
the
go.
ones from
We
Saudi
get it.
Arabia, they're totally different from the Muslims from ours.
I know.
And which are totally different from Muslims from here.
I know.
Muslims in Saudi Arabia are in bed with the Europeans.
I know.
But the rest are not. That is why they're always attacking these other folks, telling them they're this, they're the terrorists, but if you listen carefully and you really, really look, beginning from Farrakhan, no, Farrakhan is on the opposite side. We're talking about, what's his name? Besides Gamal Abdel Nasser, there's also another one from Iran. And they think they assassinated him. They used uranium to kill him. They put uranium in him. Arafat, Yasser Arafat. Beginning from him going back to all the Islams and Muslims. They can't stand Farrakhan, can't stand the Americans, the Europeans. They can't stand them. But yet the Saudis going there with them. And they're the ones
Because Abdulaziz's heirs are sellouts now.
they're the ones who
The same man that the Prophet put in our Quran, his heirs are now sellouts. That's the dangers of having the imperial divan by royal blood. The seat of your imperial divan is to be open to the public. Period. Now you don't gotta be my word. We can have a Moorish National Convention and vote on that, which I talk about that in my 4th book, which speaks about the Moorish imperial divan and the benefits of having the seat by inheritance. But I also talk about the cons associated with that. So in order to actually say how the imperial seat is going to be established, we have to have a Moorish National Convention and have an election to put a sultan in said seat. Period. Which, no, not appointed, elected. The people have to say, you, that guy or that woman needs to be the sultan. That's what we need to do. And if you don't believe me that we have a sultan as our ruler, read your 101s. And the Prophet would ask you, what do we call our ruler in Morocco? And the answer will be a sultan.
Yeah, they're called sultans. Who are not by the imams, but the imams they are very corrupt. Imagine that. Imagine that. If the priests are corrupt and they're supposed to help the king, so what does that leave the king to do? Either he joins them in being corrupt or he's left alone to be destroyed.
Which, there's a third option, or the people wake the hell up and help said king. Because the word king just means ruler, so a female can be a king.
We are empresses.
I mean, and as it relates to, government.
Yeah, if you look at our African tradition, we had queens, like Ethiopia had stream of queens. In the western part of Africa.
Well, let me just break that down real quick.
And the north,
because they weren't called queens, they were kings. But that does not mean they were male, just so you know.
Yes. They were emperors, they were rulers.
What do rulers do? No. They measure. I'm talking about a ruler, that's what I'm talking about. So, they're the embodiment of moral principles upon which the society measures themselves. That's why they're a ruler. Queen is derived from queen, which means public woman or prostitute. So we didn't have no queens in leadership. We had kings.
All the chicks now want to be queens and I'm queen.
And most of those people claiming to be queens are public women. You said Snapchat?
I said Snapchat premium.
Snapchat premiums. So they're casting the right spell. They're telling you. Trap queen. They're telling you who they are. You just thought it was something else. That's why they're called rulers, because they're literally the measurement
And when they keep our women down,
of moral principle.
them and keeping us down. So when our women are running around calling themselves public women,
It's a slur.
that keeps us down.
I'm not with no queens out here. I'm straight.
Say that to somebody the other day and I want to chop my neck off.
Because you're messing up their money.
Hear from you, so
Oh man. And I'm not laughing at those people. I'm laughing at that's funny to me. Because I used to say the same thing too. We're kings and queens and stuff. It's funny that we've been saying the wrong stuff proudly. To me, that's funny. That's how I get over this hard stuff. I have to laugh at it because that will make you lose your mind. Any other questions?
So we are emperors and empresses.
Or you can say, or prince. We can just say we're all princes. This is where the word prince comes from. Or prime minister.
Remember, you come first.
Prince, prime, first.
Anything beyond it is a king.
Right?
It's not a female or masculine.
That's a C. Prince, principal, first. So before, as an example, if we want to do free trade as Moors in Japan, we'd have to speak to their principal first before we can talk to the people. We have to talk to their agent. This is an agent. Hmm?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, I'm saying, if we want to do business in Japan, our sultan or our principal or our prince, our sovereign ruler, would have to speak to the sovereign ruler or prince of Japan before we, the people, speak to their people.
Right.
That's why it's first. That's why it's prime. Because we have to speak to them first before we step on their land. That's all a sovereign is. A sovereign represents the sovereignty of the people. That person is not sovereign. The people are. And the sovereigns said, you are going to represent us. But then in history it got flipped where now the people think the sovereign is the sovereign and they're not.
Just like Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
He would always go out to talk first.
Mm-hmm.
When there was any battle, he would speak on behalf of the humans. When the Decepticons would always try to come destroy them.
Because he's the prime.
Always goes out first. So the Decepticons.
Prime minister.
Prime, okay.
Which the word minister means servant. Who you serving? The people. Yes.
I can't remember, the question was asked earlier, but how do we correct the status of oneself? Because at the moment, let's just say that we are as conscious as we are, everybody in this room is still considered a 14th Amendment citizen.
I'm not.
So how do we correct that?
So,
or how did you correct that?
So it starts with knowledge. It starts with knowing what the 14th Amendment is, knowing that we're Moors, knowing that we're not black, knowing our relationship with these Europeans called the United States on our land. So it starts with that knowledge. Then, again, it happens spiritually first, then physically. Once you become what you know, then all right, I'm not no 14th Amendment shit. But then what you're talking about is the actual enforcement of that. That's why we have to teach someone else so they know, and someone else so they know, so then we can come together and make sure we're protected. That's how that works.
So now, as far as
Hold on. Because she makes stuff easier for me.
Go ahead.
I think he's saying, like, for the public record, how to actually fix your political status from being black to being white. Or
Yeah, all right, so the word political status, political is dealing with rights and the enforcement of rights and which rights you have, etc. So to correct that, enforce your rights as a free national being. That's how you become white. That's how you become pure. You know what I'm saying?
I always notice.
So let me just as an example, in the courtroom, they were treating him as a black man, saying, you punched the cop or whatever. They were tarnishing him. So he went there to clarify his name and his status for the record that I did no such thing. So now he's coming out of that courtroom pure, white, untarnished, not a criminal. That's what that is. You get what I'm saying? So to ensure that you don't get tarnished by these Europeans, and you don't, we need a force of men, minds, with this, say, hey, Europeans, don't protect don't hurt our people, because we're not citizens of your stuff.
Just to add on.
You get what I'm saying? So it's multifaceted. I'm sorry. You first, then you.
Oh, well, I was just going to add on with that. It's done it mentally. And I had the same problem. Like I'm sitting at home like, how do I make everyone else know that I've done it? That's what we think. A lot of us think like, once we proclaim our nationality, like, we're supposed to send out a memo. But once you proclaim your nationality, you start to do the research and look into who you are. If you don't run into a way to proclaim it, then you're not actually accepting change. Because once you accept the change, I had to read up like who I am, where I come and check out certain things, and automatically in your journey to do that, you run through ways that like your status is incorrect. Like when you go check out your birth certificate, you go check out your ID, your social and everything, you check these things out, you see that they have you as this status, but you just proclaim this. So all you gotta do is address it. So that's the steps you're already proclaiming. It's what you do with it.
Here's correcting your status. When you go to buy something from Home Depot and they try to tax you, you say, oh yeah, here's my tax number, AA222141. Now, it's not the number that makes you tax exempt. It's you being a Moorish national, them being a separate government. You don't owe them shit. That's your status. Then when you read your 101s, it says, how did the Prophet begin to teach, begin to free Moorish Americans? And it's by teaching them to be themselves. So since I know I'm a Moor, I'm not paying you nothing, so I'm going to say my tax number. That's me being myself. You know what I'm saying? That's how simple it is. And that's why a lot of us miss it, because it's so simple. We're used to some complex jump through hoops.com, jumping through a flaming hoop and then an ice hoop, and then you gotta dive 10 waters deep, then you gotta file a claim, then you gotta go to the State House, then you gotta certify that, then you gotta go to the federal building and then get that done, you gotta go to the post office, get 2 stamps, put it on your envelope, put your thumbprint, sign 45, put UCC, whatever, then take a piece of your skin, put it on the paper as DNA, braid your hair and send it to the mail. Just be yourself.
To be clear,
Doesn't that shit sound silly?
yeah.
But these Moors are saying, well, because you didn't do it right, you have to go to the State Department, and then you got to give them this form, then you got to put your arm this way and slide it to them like this, and then you can get the UCC form. Duh! But they're telling you tie your shoes backwards.
There's no changing it on the record or for the record because it's their record. You don't want anything to do with their record. You're leaving old business as it is. So leave that the way it is.
Isn't that what the Prophet said? Leave all old business as it is and conduct all new business in your free national name. So don't go to no Social Security department and say, hey, put my L and Bay on that shit.
Yes.
They're using that number to tax you. Did you forget?
Why are you trying to mix public with private?
That's not your government, so what you talking to them about? Your government should be talking to them, not you. When's the last time you seen a Chinese national call Donald Trump on the phone and be like, yo, what's good? I'm trying to change some records. No, their prime minister speaks to him. And that prime minister protects their national sovereignty. They will say, well, yeah, we submit to you. And nah, they do business on certain terms. No, we don't. We do business on certain terms. That's what the Chinese people do. They negotiate. And they say, oh, we're charging you tariffs, which we got from the Moors. Because the word tariff is from Tarif, who was a Moor, who taxed the Europeans from doing business in Al-Andalus with the rest of Morocco. That's where the Tarif is from. Someone had a question? I'm sorry, I just go in.
No, that's fine.
It's a good question.
So now, for instance, the Census Bureau that they send out to everybody, we know our families have filled that out prior to, right? That has you as African American, Caucasian, Asian, whatever you are, West Indian, Caribbean, whatever, right? So now, the Census Bureau has your status as something. How do we deal with that piece?
The Census Bureau doesn't have you as crap. The Census Bureau sends you something and asks you what you are. And you tell them you're Negro, black, colored, Hispanic, or whatever. So, in order to change that...
Wait, now, you're right. But I'm just saying, now, just having a little dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Now, you're right. Now, let's say 10 years or 5 years, go back 5 years ago. All of us at that time, this scenario, hypothetically. Right?
Yeah.
5 years ago, we had some interaction with that contract, correct?
Yeah.
From wherever district or province we come from, right?
Yeah.
Territory. We, at some point in time, we filled out that Census Bureau as stating African American. So they do have that in their
But that was under that name.
Okay.
So with your free national name,
Okay.
that says I was misidentified. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Notice.
But hold on. But that's what the name correction papers are for.
Okay.
That's why you're supposed to read it, so you know the answer to that. You get what I'm saying? Because if you were misidentified as something, that means every contract that you got into as that name is called an unconscionable contract. Meaning you weren't conscious, so they're null and void. But you're supposed to know that.
Right.
And your Grand Sheik is supposed to teach you that. And if your Grand Sheik didn't teach you that, well, you're supposed to do your own independent research and study for yourself, because your intelligence is not predicated on someone else. It's just, we're here to assist. Meaning, caveat emptor, it's all on you. I'm just trying to get y'all up to speed so we can make some ish happen, because I'm an Aries and I'm all about something like that. I'm trying to be Moore's like this. I'm trying to have Moore's businesses like that. I'm not trying to wait. So I'm giving you all the information possible to speed this thing up, because I'm not playing. I'm not trying to hold y'all back. I don't like to be in bondage. I don't like it. So if me getting out of bondage means I have to teach y'all, I'm teaching y'all. I'm going to speak as fast as I can so you can get this information. I'm going to make it as animated as possible so you remember this information, instead of me teaching like back in 1770, boring you to death.
Can't retain it.
I'm making sure it sticks. I'm putting on a show. I'm going to yell sometimes. I'm going to do this. They sunned you. I'm going to, put in antics. Yeah, sorry about that. I apologize about the foul language. I was a Marine, so it's hard to break some old habits. True.
We're noble now.
No, let me clarify that. Just because you say you're more, don't make you noble all of a sudden. So let Moors think of that, make that don't, no. That's annoying. No, you have to actually be of moral character.
Yes.
Actually,
Your spirit and
yeah, don't get this stuff twisted, because that's what people are doing. Everyone's calling everyone noble. Yeah.
They put on the fez and get the L, day, out here, they're all noble.
All these, I was gonna give y'all some homework. Every time you see a Moor with the name Ali, ask them how they get it, and how come you don't know about them if they're an Ali.
Right. That's a good question.
Just ask them. You can tell them I told you to ask them too if you want.
Huge title names.
There's actually Moors running around claiming to be the Sultan, so ask them when was the election. How come you weren't notified? How come they didn't come to your territory and campaign like every other person does? Because when the presidents, when the election comes, they go and campaign. How come the Sultan of Morocco didn't come here and campaign? Because I would have voted. I would have voted no, because I don't know you. And how come I haven't heard about you through the grapevine and other Moors about all the great work you've been doing for our people? So how you running to be Sultan? Right? Right?
Yeah.
Because all these people claiming to be whatever, it is our duty as the people to check them. Ain't no way you're coming. Let me just give you an example. I'll give you a brief history about Rise of the Moors. I'm the co-founder of Rise of the Moors. Right? I was elected Grand Sheik by the people after sometimes last year. I have the papers in my thing. Right? So for anyone to walk in here, my temple, and tell me they're the Sultan of Morocco, I'm going to say, how? Where the hell were you when I was building this on my back? Because if you're the Sultan of Morocco, that means you have access to the Moorish Treasury Department. And that Treasury Department is for the people. So how come you didn't put out to your people that you're issuing grants to fund our organizations for the upliftment of your people if you're the Sultan? I have further questions for you after you answer that one. That's how we check these Supreme Grand Sheiks who are sitting in the Sultan's chair.
And if you can't get the people 40 acres of the mule off gate, you ain't no Sultan.
You get what I'm saying?
Like, come on.
Because there's Moors right now. There's Moors. Nah, you don't gotta be sure. Go to Chicago and go to Temple Number 1, and you ask them what their titles are, and have a simple conversation with them, and they'll expose to you who they are and what they're about, and they won't even know that they're doing it. Unless, well, if you don't know how to read spirit, then you won't know. Which most of you have common sense. That's why you're here, so you'd be able to know. because when I tell you right now, if you're claiming to be the Supreme Grand Sheikh, that means you're claiming to be the Sultan. Because when the Prophet was alive, guess what his position was?
Sultan.
Supreme Grand Sheikh, which he was the chairman or chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now guess what this word means.
Cabinet, dive in,
No, what does it mean?
divine.
And guess who sits in the Moorish Imperial Divan? The Sultan. So if there's Moors claiming to be the Supreme Grand Sheikh and chairman, you should have a list of questions for them. Because the Prophet said, until you maintain a national treasury like your forefathers, until then you are nothing. Which when the Prophet was on the scene, guess what the Moors had? A treasury. And guess who was in charge of it? The Supreme Grand Council, which he was the chairman of said council, meaning that was the imperial divan in the structure of the Moorish government, which said treasury department was supposed to be used to establish new temples, so it's not coming off the backs of the Moors just now waking up. So why is it that there's a sultan claiming to be the sultan of the Moorish imperial divan by claiming to be the Supreme Grand Sheikh, and I had to build this on my own? Not just me, but every other Moor in every other territory where they're at alone. Why are they building this by themselves? Because last time I checked, in the Quran that my prophet gave me, it said the glory of the king is the welfare of his people. And he establishes new colonies, meaning he takes that finances that he's established, goes to where his people needs it, and builds something. How come you don't see this person walking around traveling like the prophet did? Because when you read the newspapers of the prophet, excuse me, this is taped to my office. This is a picture of a newspaper. It says, Prophet begins his second tour, meaning he was traveling, building with Moors. If you didn't have nothing, he was helping you build that shit. Why? Because Moors had businesses. Those said Moorish businesses were paying taxes to the Moorish government. Then the Sultan was using said finances to help other Moors in need. So you go to that temple number 1. Actually, there's multiple temple number 1s because they're all claiming the Sultan's seat. And you ask them, what's the status of our treasury? And why is it that I'm still struggling? Yes, not me, but you know, when I say me, I'm talking about when you ask them, you're going to say me, so that's how I'm speaking. Ask them, where's your treasury at? And how come they're not investing in your Moorish business so you can get out of poverty? So you can stop working for these Europeans? Ask them that, since they're claiming to be the chairman. All right. Or the Supreme Grand whatever. Peace. Let's take this back up. Take that. Thank you. Yep. Let's make sure it's clear. It's not over. It's never over. Give me 5. Hey.
What is that?
This is.
Looks like a really cool dog.
It is.
I
know.
Not see someone little with that.
Huh? This is for self-protection. It's so I can protect all of you from danger.
Look at that.
This is a hand guard. Because if you shoot this gets hot. So to protect your hand from burning, that's what this is for.
Oh, this is the stethoscope so I can see.
This is a scope, yeah.
Tell
Yep.
them, yeah.
Don't worry, it's on safe.
What is that back part?
See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what is this?
This is a magazine.
Some time. We want to
Is
get this
this
document
it?
sale.
Yeah, okay. Hold on.
Well, no, finish.
No, he's just asking questions about this. All right.
Is this where all the ammo goes?
Yeah, it is. I'll show you. Can't touch. Don't touch it.
What in the world? That was like 100 of ammo.
No, it's only 30 in here. Yeah.
I'll see you when you come home.
Yeah.
Alright.
Peace.
Salam shukran.
Ugh.
My daddy had the same kind of bullets of those.
Really? That's cool.
Like,
Sign up?
No. But yeah, we'll sign out.
Okay, yeah.
How long we been live?
A long time.
Like 4 hours?
Yeah.
Good. Thank y'all for tuning in. All these so-called people claim to be supreme grand whatever. Ask them about the status of your treasury because they owe you. Read your Quran. Read
Join
it.
us on Wednesday.
Do you think?
Join us on Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. On the Wednesday group chat. You can purchase that on riseandmores.org. Click on products under the menu button. Go to services. You'll see the Wednesday group chat. It's $25 for the whole month, so you'll get 12 to 14 hours depending on how many Wednesdays are in that month, 4 or 5. But you'll have access to every single Wednesday for personal Q&A in the Grand Sheet.
Oh yeah. The Wednesday call it was out of stock. I fixed that, so it should be good now.
Texas, October 26th. We'll be in Texas, correct?
Mhm.
26th. At the event with many special guest speakers, including Islam is not confirmed yet, but Brother Ben X will be there. Hot Darby will be there.
He didn't confirm either.
Yeah, Red Pill didn't confirm. Tazara Kath, Yurima Karama,
Jamar Milton.
Jamar Milton. So we'll be there with a lot of different wars, bringing a lot of different information to whoever needs it. Everybody needs it. So October 26th. We're also looking for, entertainment artists, music artists to put on a little entertainment for the people in between, sets and questions and stuff like that.
Also, I'll be lecturing out here, Johnson and Wales University. It's supposed to be like, it's a black fraternity and they're putting it together. So you already know I'm hitting them with all the facts. I'm going to be talking about the discharge of debt because they, student loans. So I'm going to hook them with this. And I got the proof of Gina Raimondo's discharge to show them, look, your European governor's doing it. You know what I mean? So that's October 2nd.
Grand Chief Jamal Till, the Blue Base first book, Are You Confused About Law? Is back in stock on riseandmores.org. So check that out.
Thank y'all for tuning in.